Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you had a great weekend. I do appreciate you joining us. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming feed. Always, don't miss anything. Hey, I get it. Sometimes you miss stuff. We post the show, all 3 hours of it, in fact, upon its conclusion to iTunes, where you can rate, review, share with others so that they can find the podcast. It's also on our website in the archived audio. You can find it at ESPNTallahassee.com. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show, the WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And we appreciate you Periscopers and YouTubers. If I didn't say that already, I don't know if I did or not. What a weekend. What a great weekend. If you're looking for a way to bridge the doldrums that the summer provides and something that gets us to football, my goodness gracious, did we get lucky there with the men's final at Wimbledon. And, you know, I always say this about tennis. It's a little bit like heavyweight boxing. You know, you have your aficionados of boxing, right? People who watch it year-round. They know the best in the world. They know that the secondary class, the third class of fighters, those that are on the come. Yeah, that's true. You have that with tennis, too. Some of us geeks like tennis year-round and watch some of the lesser tournaments, or certainly keep an eye on some of the up-and-coming prospects. I'm always looking for the next great American because it's been so long since we've had one. Andy Roddick was basically the last. I mean, can we get in men's tennis, anyhow? Obviously, we've been fortunate enough to have Serena forever. But I've been waiting to find that guy. But one thing's true of both sports. If there's a big fight, just as if there's a great final in a major, people will come back to tennis. They'll come back to boxing, and they'll sit down with their friends, or at least they'll watch in their living rooms and go, you know, I don't need this sport year-round, but I'm going to watch this heavyweight fight. And we had that yesterday in the finals at Wimbledon when certainly two of the 4 or 5 best players to ever play the sport meeting with a storyline that includes a 37-year-old man defying logic, time. You know, he has done something that in this game in particular, tennis is a young man's game, nobody's ever done to get to that age in the open era and still dominate and still be elite. It's just rarefied air, so you wonder how long can one keep it going. So you had all these storylines, and Djokovic tried to defend his title, and with a win, you keep Roger from extending the lead, and you inch ever closer, so it's like a 2-shot swing in golf or something like that. So all these things are happening, and then you get 5 sets, and you get 12-12, and you get the first ever tiebreaker in the 5th set at Wimbledon in men's tennis, and you get moments, stretches of tennis that are elite and that bring out the best in the competitor and that leave you breathless. People's ability to hit away with so much on the line. I've always marveled. I do at all sports, you know, guys hitting tough golf shots, you know, having to hit a on-command draw with water in the way, knowing you don't carry, you've just lost the tournament that you've dreamt of winning. When people execute these kinds of things, it's the best moment in sport. It's true in football. It's true in basketball. It's true to hit that shot, to have the courage to hit that shot. And you saw it on display a lot yesterday. So as somebody who loves sports for that reason, one of many reasons, man, did we get lucky for about 5 hours yesterday.
Well, the great thing about tennis, and where I think it's much more difficult than golf, is you've got to make all of these calculations on the fly, and you've got to do it in a split second. You got to determine where your opponent's going, the spin of the ball coming out off the ground onto your racket, exactly where are you standing, how much room, space, time do you have, and how do you want to play the shot, which you've determined steps before you actually make your motion, right? You need to determine if you're going to play something that's in your body, if you're going to go backhand, forehand. All of these decisions have to be made, and you're playing against somebody who is either your equal or better. How many times did Djokovic look to his own coach's box yesterday in disbelief about these great shots back to back to back that this dude is hitting? Like, are you kidding me? This freaking guy? You could see it, the disbelief in his eyes, but he stuck with it, and he did enough.
Well, and it's certainly a championship that if you're rooting for Roger Federer, I know you were, and so I thought if I could have somehow sent a hug down the phone line or through to your side of the city yesterday as I watched that. I didn't text you for that reason. I'm like, I'm gonna leave it alone. I know this one hurts because it's on his racket. Look, there's no way to get around this. It's a great moment for Djokovic. it's toughness, it's resilience, it's all of those things. It's a willingness to hit away when your back is against it. It's all that. It's also a choke. Federer's got the match on his racket, 40-15. He's got 2 match points. And there's good shots there from Djokovic, but those are tentative efforts from Federer as well, and including the approach that he gets passed on. It's a great passing shot, but he gives up that space because he approaches on a ball. It's a poor decision. It's the sort of thing where you're wanting it to happen as opposed to making it happen.
Right, I think he thought it was over. I think they both did in a way. That's why Djokovic might have had a freedom to let go of it. And there was more insight in the Rinaldi interview than the one he gave center court, where you could see it in his eyes as Joker was describing down 40-15. He thought it was over. He didn't want to say that on the record, but he thought it was over, and maybe that gave him the freedom to hit that passing shot. I get it. The angle's open for business.
Yeah.
But it's a very small, narrow angle that he has to hit the ball.
And if you're a Federer fan and you decide that you disagree with me, let's say, I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying if you say, I don't know, man, he forced him to hit a good shot. He did force him to hit a good shot. Your argument is, I don't think you can hit that shot with what's on the line right now. Yeah, it's doable. It's a shot that you make all the time when it's 4-4 in the second at the Lipton Open. But can you make that shot now? The problem is he's pretty much made a career of making that shot, and he's done it against you.
Right.
So you kind of know he can hit that shot.
Well, of course, the biggest choke job, if you will. I don't want to go that far because that's another world-class player on the other side of the court. But I thought in that first set tiebreak, some of the choices that Roger made, they were completely head-scratching. And those were the formative moments that led to the 7-5 advantage at the end of it. He had his chances not just with the break, up a break in the 5th set. He had a chance in both tie breaks. And Djokovic just played those way better. Those way, way, way better. And so even though I think he won 15 more points, did Roger, because of the second set, which skews the numbers a lot.
Yes, a lot.
The key moments, it was always Joker. He made all the big things happen.
Yeah, he played angles that forced Roger into uncomfortable positions. I think he preyed upon his backhand. I want to go back and look at the percentage of shots that he hit to his backhand. He forced a lot to Federer's backhand.
Well, Roger had 2 problems yesterday. One was the backhand, and another one was he got into slumps with his forehand if he was moving a certain way laterally. And that's what he's always been, though. He's always been a shot maker, but an unforced error king. Like, of all the greats, and I got to watch a lot of Sampras and Agassi, and then obviously this latest iteration. But what he did yesterday is kind of what he's known for. Maybe not such an advantage on the serve. He was unbelievable against the greatest returner that ever lived yesterday with service. But he will make a lot of winners, a lot of breathtaking winners, but then he'll also have so many head-scratching, unforced errors into the net. You're like, are you capable of hitting just a standard shot? Because I see the greatest I've ever seen, and I see some things that are going 6 rows deep into the royal box.
It was a weird match because there were pockets that stunk. And that's not something that everybody will talk about after watching a match like that. There's an entire set where Djokovic plays terribly. There is a set all added up across 2 sets. I think there's a set's worth of games in which Roger, his backhand betrays him, and he's hitting tentative shots. It's an interesting match. Of course, it all culminates with the great moments in the 5th set, which is what we'll all remember.
The 5th is an all-timer, but you're right. Yeah. It was spotty before that.
Yeah, I just think those 2 guys have played better. They just have played better tennis, and they would both admit that. The 5th set is an all-timer, and it's one that we'll always remember because, again, you get up 4-2. If you're Djokovic, you're probably going to win this thing, and then you get broken, and then now next thing you know, you're down 2 match points, and yet you find a way to come back from that.
That's why you're the top seed, so you don't have to play Rafa 2 days before. Now, it's not a 5-set war that Roger and Rafa played relatively, but I think the mental energy it took to get up and be able to do that, because there's a lot of doubt in his mind, and so you clear that hurdle. Obviously, Novak should be fresher. He didn't look it in the second set. In the second set, he looked to be
sick.
Checked out.
I was bizarre. I thought he got sick or was hurt. He could be hurt. I don't know, but it didn't look right.
When he slipped and fell on the baseline in the beginning of the second set, after that, I was just watching his knees. I was like looking at his legs. Is he walking? Is he limping? Is he favoring anything? It looked like he was checking on something. Not necessarily limping, but it's almost like he was worried that he might have tweaked something. And then I think that might have led to the mental checkout, and then he just said the hell with it once he's down a couple breaks.
I'm going to lose this set, so let's get it on and go from there. Speaking of getting it on and go from there, we get our list back today from the ACC office. Tom, myself, will be headed to Charlotte tomorrow for the ACC kickoff. I don't know where you stand on these things, guys, but for me, it's part of that checklist. It's about time to get it on. It's not full-on embrace, hey, football's here. It's not, but it's the first evidence that it's about to be, for sure, upon us. And tomorrow we drive to Charlotte. Not a great drive, but certainly I get excited anytime I get an opportunity to talk to players and coaches, and we'll do that. We will have a sit-down on Wednesday with Willie Taggart. I look forward to that. I'll get my annual Adazio interview, which I'm looking forward to. We got some players, Clemson, got a couple other guys that we want to bring in, so that'll be good.
You know what's awesome is that tomorrow we get to drive through South Carolina. Aren't you just so pumped?
You know how much I love that. But we will, as is tradition, stop in Rock Hill, which is a lot like North Carolina, which is the only reason you would stop there in South Carolina, because you're at a place that's more like North Carolina. Just me. That's my thing. It also has coffee.
So is it Adazio that is the headline, and then you're excited to talk to Willie Taggart, or is it Willie and then Adazio?
Well, I got to admit the Adazio thing has taken on a life of its own, and I can't wait to see Coach. This is our time. This is our time annually where we get to see each other. It's like a family reunion. Me and the Daz get together once a year, and it's a chance to chit-chat a little bit. How's your family doing? Well, how's yours doing? Good. And then we have our, normal conversation. But I am excited to see, big picture, how Willie responds to what are going to be some tough questions. You don't have a 5-7 season at Florida State and make coaching changes to the extent that he did without expecting to hear a lot of people from markets throughout the ACC wondering what's going on in Tallahassee. I mean, the foregone conclusion of these ACC meetings are that Clemson is the odds-on favorite. It's not close to win another conference title and compete for a national title. So all of a sudden, that major storyline, who's going to win the conference, who's the best player in the conference, those all belong to Clemson. It's not something anybody in any other market's going to argue. Everybody's fighting for second, and I think for us, it's a matter of how close can you get back to mattering in your own damn division. And so those are tough questions to answer. Those are tough questions to have to be asked. People that cover Louisville or cover Syracuse or NC State or anybody else for that matter are not going to be afraid to say, Florida State hasn't been competitive in 2 years. Not competitive. Getting steady, blown the hell out by bad teams that you would argue have surpassed them. It's hard to fathom that Syracuse right now has a better football team than Florida State, but certainly last year would indicate they did. Doesn't mean it's going to happen this year, but again, expectations have shifted for those other programs, and so I will be intrigued to see how he answers those questions, and I'm also intrigued to see how we handle our guys going up there, how they answer the questions. They're going to be questioned about the kind of season they went through a year ago, and it's imperative that they handle themselves well and show that they've matured and grown up some.
I'll be interested, to see if Tamorrion Terry has any, crystallized thoughts on Ron Dugans as a position coach and what the difference has been year to year for him. Because, this has been a turbulent career for anybody who's been on campus for any length of time, but 3 years is about right. Because if you're Tamorrion, that means you were in with Jimbo, and Dawsey was your guy, and then you've got 1 year with Coach Kelly, and now here's Ron Dugans, and you're going to be a top 50 pick in the NFL draft. So, that's a lot of voices to have to figure out your way in and out of practice, the meeting rooms, all that kind of stuff. I'd be interested to hear his opinion on what the coaching changes have done.
And Marvin Wilson's an advocate for Florida State in so many ways, right? And so it will be interesting to hear what he has to say, by the way, on the watch list. These are the annual watch list emails that go out that we all get. By the way, there's a gazillion people on this watch list. So anytime you look and you're like, oh, look at that, the Marvin Wilson and Cam Akers, are on watch lists. Yeah, they're going to be on a lot of them. Cam Akers is an intriguing story. That's a side note. What kind of season Cam Akers going to have? In some ways, I feel like people are more excited about other backs than they are Cam Akers. And
like maybe Cam takes the 2-yard beating on first down and then you let LeBourne loose on 2nd and 8?
I just, we forget a little bit about what he is. He did lead the team in all-purpose yards last year. He didn't have the season that he was hoping for and even predicted, obviously, but he still wasn't completely useless, and that was despite being behind a dreadful offensive line. I don't know.
And with one good ankle.
Yeah, there is real intrigue in what kind of year he's going to have. I feel like he's oddly been overlooked. Whenever we have the discussion about skill position players, we're quick to talk about Will DJ Matthews fulfill his potential? We know what Tamorrion Terry is. What's Keyshawn Helton in this offense? Trayshawn Harrison in this offense? Do you get anything out of Keith Gavin? You have a lot of these question marks. Kalon Laybourne comes up every time. But somehow Cam has kind of flown under the radar with that.
Well, if you are of the belief that certain players will play harder for this quarterback as opposed to last year's quarterback, Cam Akers would be at the top of that list, because not a year ago, what did he say? If I could have anybody with me in a street fight, it would be James Blackman. So you can believe that Akers is going to be asked about the quarterback situation this year, and he's going to extol the virtues of James Blackman.
James Blackman is a kid that if he improves his efficiency in the mid-range throws, I think is in line to have a real good season. I think that the fun conversations, and I had a lot of them today, I was telling you before we came on the air, something that's in the water. I don't know if it's just seeing that Wimbledon final, and now it's like all attention to, we're past the All-Star break, where all these things, it's all attention towards college football. It's certainly these different conference kickoffs, but I had hours worth of conversations surrounding Florida State football today. From the time I got up in the morning, people just calling random people who cover the sport, people who are graduates and care, just you name it. And the thought being that because James has put in the work, he has the skill set to where he could be a good quarterback. We already know that. I don't think he'll ever be great, but he can be a good quarterback. But he may be running a system where if you just get a modicum of help from your offensive line, you distribute the football to some really talented players that are home run hitters.
Well, and maybe this is something we haven't talked about enough, but we do have enough time before the first game of the season, and that's getting better at read defenders and understanding those concepts. Jimbo couldn't teach it. That's why we never ran it well. We had too many bodies here that, you would think at some point somebody would be able to run that concept. Last year was a total disaster, too. Even in the NC State game, James missed a couple of easy reads that would have been out the gate, as we like to say. Does Kendall have any better luck at teaching James Blackman some of those concepts? Because that does help you. The read defender is unblocked, so you can commit a body to block elsewhere. And so if you make the correct reads in those situations, you're generating more positive plays for the offense. Is James capable of making those reads, and is Kendall better equipped to teach them?
Runs a lot of RPOs.
It's kind of a lifeblood part of the offense.
Runs a lot of RPOs. Go back and look at those offenses, and you'll note that there are an awful lot of RPOs, and, not Jimbo's RPOs, but the true RPOs, as in your run blocking on pass plays. Like we get the real
like the
RPOs.
Ones we got wrong 80% of the time last year.
Yes,
NC State game included.
Yes. Oh, don't remind me. I think that's going to be probably one of the more fun aspects of this offense is correctly running an RPO. If we do, it's going to happen. They will. It's a lifeblood of the offense. They're going to do it.
And the interior is a little bit better. Okay. You may put some drives together.
See there? There we go.
Maybe.
Dangle that carrot, baby.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men in a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Hendrick.
It's the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, a proud partner of the Hendrick Automotive Group. 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 trucks up to $50,000 off MSRP. Plus, get a 20-quart Orca cooler when you buy any new GMC truck. We are professional grade on Capitol Circle Northeast under the giant American flag, or shop DaleJuniorGMC.com. Cooler valued at $199. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Hurricane Michael was not kind to many of our homes and businesses. As I ride through Tallahassee, the blue tarps and missing shingles are abundantly visible. While a few missing shingles may seem like minimal damage, I assure you they are not. Leaks can occur, causing wood decay, interior damage, or mold growth within your home or business. We specialize in storm damages and insurance claims. Let us get your roof back to shedding water, not leaking water. Call us today. We can help. At T-Spark Enterprises, we conquer all peaks.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Hey, I'm Jeff Doxey, Realtor for Capital Property Consultants, representing Premier Fine Homes. If you're thinking of owning your own brand new Premier home, call or text me at 850-545-4747 or email me, jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. You say where, I'll be there. Your Canopy Connection.
Sizzling summer savings continue at Jerry's Cigar Shop's Christmas in July sale. Through the month of July, you can buy one and get one free on thousands of the top name brand cigars only at Jerry's. Buy any specially marked 5-pack of cigars and get a second 5-pack free. These deals are only good in the month of July and only while supplies last, so hurry in before they're all gone. Stop by either Jerry's Cigar Shop locations today off Scherer Road on North Monroe Street or the new Northeast location on Cary Forest Parkway.
Dad, what are you doing?
Cramming for college.
I'm the one going to college.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it all.
Discover Student Loans.
Discover does student loans?
Yeah, they're one of the top private student loan lenders in the country. It takes 15 minutes or less to apply, and there are no fees for the life of the loan. Best of all, I can earn cash rewards if I get good grades.
Really?
Yeah, we still have time to apply and get a great rate.
So I can just chill. College kids still say that, right?
No one says that, Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Sports journalism has changed a ton now, where you guys are following, this ex-sports agent who's got this tidbit of information and this blogger over here, and everyone's got sources and everyone's using sources. But no one's using them more responsibly than Chris Broussard is. I'm sorry, man. He is making it bad for all of us out here trying to do a legitimate job by being careful because he's just making stuff up. You can't go on television and say Clippers are out. You can't go on Twitter and say Clippers are out when you're a reporter. You can guess it if you're a gas bag. You can't do it when you're a reporter.
Well, you can do it. He did it. So,
but there got to be consequences to that.
Hey, he swung for the fences. I mean, if he was right, we'd be celebrating Broussard today.
Stugatz, you hearing anything?
No.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Damn headset started. My cans are going south on me, Tom. The wiring is not working the way it's supposed to.
Uh-oh.
Gonna need a new pair of headsets.
Can you hear me, Mad Dog?
Oh, they're both dead.
That is true.
How about that, huh? I hadn't thought about that.
I hadn't either.
No, that's nuts. Do shows for long enough, buddy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's right, huh?
We were just talking about RPOs and Bryles and how they're decided before the snap and making decisions at the mesh point. And then I started thinking, can James Blackman make decisions at the mesh point? That's something we're going to find out.
That's what I'm talking
about.
Yeah,
I know. It never had a chance for anybody to make decisions, but, well, that's not true. a lot of poor decisions were made when there were opportunities to make them.
There's tape of him doing it under Jimbo, actually, in his true freshman season, because Jimbo had to run plays he didn't want to run. And at that point, I think the biggest concern was he needs to protect the football when he's running with the football. I'm sure that will get tightened up, but he knew how to do it back then. So maybe it's just that there was a constant paralyzing fear of this offensive line that maybe we rushed our thinking a little bit last season.
All right. I just I'm looking at some quotes. I wanted to pull up some quotes about those decisions, play calling. And you remember we kind of talked about the idea, this was brought up last year, of not having a playbook. People kept going, what do you mean? I cited an SI article from last year. Houston's average time between snaps is just shy of 19 seconds. Briles has set up his entire scheme to operate as quickly as possible. Only he signals in plays. There are no middlemen. There's no wristband strapped to players' arms because there is no playbook. Against Tulsa earlier this year, the Cougars executed 5 snaps in the first 50 seconds of the game. Their offensive coordinator pacing with his unit down the sideline while furiously signaling. And they show those 5 plays in a GIF in those articles. And I looked back further to say another quote that I think will be fascinating, and that after he joined the staff, Kendall Briles, that is, after 1 year at Florida Atlantic when he joined Houston, he decided, obviously, to take a good long look at his personnel in the spring and then settle in on an offensive attack that matured over time. That initially he said, all right, well, we can do this, but we can't do these things. We don't have the personnel. And one of the things he was talking about, and this is where I will be fascinated, is he said, quote, and I quote, well, we knew we had a pretty decent offensive line and we had a real good tight end. Once we figured out who our other people were, then we tried to fit our formations so that they could line up quickly with the guys that we had. So it seems simple enough, but part of the biggest complaint about last year and how convoluted and disjointed it appeared to be was that if you know your offensive line sucks, we're going to need to run plays to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand rather quickly. We're going to need to do this, and this. And it didn't feel like that was taking place, at least in the minds of many Florida State fans, that, hey, look, I got it. Our offensive line is terrible, but there's some things we can do to mitigate that. I was less pissed about that because I don't think the extent to which this offensive line was overmatched was truly understood. This sounds demeaning. Was truly understood by and large of this fan base. I don't think that everybody realized just how bad they were. It's almost inconceivable how bad. They literally had a guy score a 0 in Pro Football Focus. A 0. You know how impossible it is to score a 0? A 0. You had a guy have a mental breakdown on the field for an entire game, and he scored a 0. So I didn't lend as much credence to that complaint. Where I lend credibility to complaints were, hey, man, if you know your special teams unit is garbage and you know that it's been bad, it was bad before you got here, it's terrible right now, and the coach you hired is not doing a good job with it, you take it over. You do it. Do something about it. You ensure that it doesn't continue throughout the course of the season. Those are the kinds of complaints that I felt were fair to be levied at Willie Taggart.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, you don't want to run, and they didn't. Don't get me wrong, they didn't. What we did in September wasn't the same thing as what we did in November. We tried a lot of different things.
They tried a lot of different things.
We were under center against Notre Dame for a little bit, right?
They couldn't block, man.
No, and I could tell you, going back on either Sunday or Monday morning and using the old stop and back 10 seconds and start again with the offensive line, it really was something the likes of which I've never seen. And that's including watching us play against an FCS team in our heyday and beating them, 80-7 like we did Idaho or whatever the final score of that game was.
I agree with you. I have never seen anything like it.
The slower the motion on replay, the more unbelievable it is what I'm going to say about that. Like, I couldn't imagine grading the film as a GA here.
Well, a guy scored a 0, man.
I know that's the Pro Football Focus grade, but just think about it, you got to turn in the grades to Fry or Willie, and you're that GA who has to sit there and do the tape. I mean, that's got to be just staggering.
Well, and that's where you get buoyed by the possibilities of what'll happen this year with a group that, even though physically the offensive line is not going to be mistaken as elite, they're not going to be well thought of, no matter how well they play, no matter how much better they are than they were a year ago, they're not going to be good. They're not, because you haven't recruited the position. I know people hate to have to do this, but you do. That's part of the problem that rests at the feet of Jimbo Fisher and Rick Trickett. They didn't recruit the position. So you don't have a depth of good player at the offensive line position. You had a couple of guys that you like, that you think potentially could be decent, but you don't have a lot of guys that you believe in. So they're limited by their lack of physical tools up front. But where you are, I think, emboldened to believe that the team can be much more efficient, much more productive, and more consistent offensively is what you did when you hired Kendall Briles was bring in a system that has been proven to work, one that he calls, he dominates, he is the primary caretaker of, with a right-hand man that he's had with him everywhere in the form of Randy Clements. So they will have an organized scheme. They will know. They will speak the same language. They will talk the same language, if you will. There's not going to be mass confusion in an effort to teach and or have everybody on the same page. That will be in line. It already was in the spring.
It was night and day. And how many practices do you get in the spring?
Right.
Like none. So,
you already saw evidence of what that will do to improve that unit that a year ago averaged just over 21 points a game,
that's
which was
like
dreadful.
No time at all to get quality control issues down. And they had them, for the most part, down pretty well.
So now imagine when you get your full allotment of practices and your
off-season voluntary workouts and all that stuff.
That's correct. By the way, I like that you bring up your voluntary workouts. The conversation that I quoted from Briles in the SI article from a year ago was that, quote, we were able to settle on an offense attack that matured over the summer. Really? Okay, there it is. So those voluntary workouts see this group maturing, understanding, doing better with the offense, right? I don't know how that's possible, but it is.
Well, it just means that they were left with it's like taking a textbook home, you know? I know that we don't have a playbook, but if you have good notes for a way to conduct voluntary workouts, maybe
perhaps that's how that works, right?
Yeah, and maybe it'll be better because people are more willing to fall in line behind James Blackman. You can see how those two things might work together pretty nicely.
Right, and so when you're sitting down having the conversation about the upcoming season and you're encountering the fan that thinks, woe is us, no chance to be markedly better based on what I saw a year ago, I would argue just having cohesion, just having an understanding of the elements of your scheme and coaches that have worked together implementing it and succeeding with it at multiple stops together, that tells me that certainly against the lesser teams you face, you're going to have some success. Last week to week, you never knew what you were going to get. You never really did. I mean, it was something.
Thankfully, there's a new season on the horizon. We're so damn close.
We're getting there, man. I don't know that I'm talking myself into, grand predictions here each day that I go back and kind of refresh my memory as to what Briles did in his previous stops or the personnel we have, and we did our top 40 countdown there with War Chant. I don't know if that's it, but I am a little bit buoyed. I will tell you that right now. My mindset here, and maybe I'm just excited to go to Charlotte tomorrow, but I am a little bit more upbeat about the possibilities for the 2019 season. I think Florida State can take the big step forward to get to where you're in a position to compete with Clemson. I'm not so foolish as to believe that we're going to be competitive with Clemson next year. That's crazy. I just like to be in a position to finish second in the Atlantic. I'll take that, baby. I'll do that.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Store in town has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
You can't protect against everything life has in store, but you can sure try. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, we help you protect your investment with regular maintenance options that can keep your system safe. Receive same-day service when you sign up for the Total Comfort Service Program at BaranoAC.com. Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Imagine that you're at the store, like you've been a bazillion times before. Do you know the secret to a happy shopping cart? Putting Little Debbie snacks in there is the perfect way to start. Oatmeal cream pies, Swiss rolls galore, Nutty Buddy, Honey Bun, zebra cakes, and more. Little Debbie loves to make you smile with so many varieties, made by our family of bakers who always aim to please. There's tradition and love in our collection of cake, so grab your favorites in the aisle because today you bake.
Not a big summer guy. Too hot. Not a big winter guy either. Too cold. My favorite season? Safety season. Because it's every season. 24/7, 365. For all things safety, I trust Grainger. Grainger's safety experts have the safety solutions and expertise to help keep your facility safe and your people safer all year long. Seasons may change, but Grainger's always got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by for all things safety. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi with breaking news from the NBA. The 76ers and star Ben Simmons agreed on a 5-year, $170 million max extension. Simmons, the number 1 overall pick in 2016, is one of the Sixers' cornerstone stars. Teammates, including Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Al Horford, previously agreed on their own long-term contracts. On this NFL franchise tag deadline day, sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter Jadeveon Clowney won't get a long-term deal done. No trade in the works for Clowney either. He's expected to miss most, if not all, of training camp, as he hasn't signed his nearly $16 million franchise tag for the 2019 season. There is one reason Clowney's next contract might not be as big as some other star defensive linemen, points out ESPN's Keyshawn Johnson.
Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, all of those guys can go get the quarterback. Jadeveon was drafted as the number 1 overall pick to go get the quarterback. Great run defender, but he hasn't lived up to it, like you said, at rushing the passer. And as we all know, this is a passing league. And if you got a guy that can go get the quarterback, he can wreak havoc and change the entire game, and he hasn't been able to do that.
Ahead of the deadline, kicker Robbie Gould and the 49ers agreed on a 2-year, $10.5 million fully guaranteed contract. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen, in a first-person story on ESPN's Front Row website, announced that he's battling Parkinson's disease. The 86-year-old said he was diagnosed in 2014, but is sharing his diagnosis now, hoping to help others struggling with the disease as well as those looking for a cure.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Rest in peace, Pernell Whitaker. I'll have more thoughts on this in the 5, but he was struck and killed in Virginia Beach late Sunday in an accident as he crossed the street. Pernell Whitaker, one of the great all-time boxers, Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist, and somebody whose career I saw almost all of. Yeah, no, I did. I saw all of his career and certainly had a lot of enjoyment over the years watching Pernell Whitaker fight, who, if you're a kid and you don't know Sweet Pea, think Floyd Mayweather. Think Floyd Mayweather before Floyd Mayweather. Defensive specialist, lightning quick, ring general, brilliant strategist, purist, a boxer's boxer, that kind of thing, scientific, and just one of the best of all time. One of the 5 best of all time. For his weight class. Yeah, he was one of those few fighters that was universally agreed upon at the height of his career to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world. So if you fall in that category, well, you are what he was, a Hall of Famer. And that's a hell of a thing. And to note, years later to find out he didn't take care of himself, but he was a bad man. And there's a lot of really cool video tributes to Pernell Whitaker on YouTube today.
Was boxing your favorite sport in that period of time?
It's interesting. That or tennis.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that or tennis. The mid to late 80s, so, I talk about it a lot, but I grew up, my elementary school days, middle school days, I played tennis more than almost anything else. I was later that I got into other sports. I mean, I played Little League Baseball and Pee Wee football and all that other stuff, but I every day played tennis. And so 80s, almost all of the 80s, I was addicted to tennis. Even after I stopped playing it, even after when I got to high school and I had to concentrate on the other sports, and I decided I'm not going to go play college tennis. So I don't think I'm good enough. And if you're going to do that, you have to dedicate solely yourself to one sport. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play everything. So, and I had friends who did, and they went on to play in college. Sean Henshin was one of them. Went on, I think he played at Penn State. But there are guys that I played with that did, but you have to remain so hyper-focused. But I loved it, man. And I've said it. We were talking about it last week and build up to this Wimbledon finals weekend. I was just such a McEnroe fan, man. I would buy all the same equipment and all that. I would wear all the same outfits, and I loved him. He was my guy. And then boxing, I always loved, because when I was in elementary school and in middle school, my best friend, Luis Morales, his father, they were from Guatemala, and I would go to his house, and his whole family, they loved boxing. And Dr. Morales, his dad was a doctor, heart surgeon. They were interesting people, first of all. They were from Guatemala, but he had lived in Montreal, and they spoke French and English and Spanish, and his sister ended up working for the UN, and it's just really cool stuff. Well, he was addicted to boxing. And so I would go over to Lewis's house for stayovers, and we would watch whatever boxing his dad had on. And his dad, in many ways, taught me about boxing. He had a real thick accent. It was always tough to understand him. But he was so insightful and so interesting, and he would point to the subtleties of the sport, the science of the sport, right? And at that time, there were so many, I guess what you would say in modern parlance, pay-per-view events, where you could go. We used to go to Maximo Moorings, and we would go to watch these events where they would have these theaters where you could see the big fights. And so, gosh, lightweight, middleweight, I've talked about the Hagler-Hearns fight, and I've talked about Sugar Ray's fights and all of that coming up. And then Obviously, at the end of Ali's career on into Larry Holmes. And all, there was just always a great fight on. There were so many great fighters. And so, yeah, those were probably my two favorite sports growing up.
This is just one of those eras sporting history. Like, you're an encyclopedia of this period of time for both tennis and boxing. I don't have any frame of reference other than maybe Sports Century back in the day on ESPN Classic.
Yeah, good show.
Or they do replay a lot of the old fights, and they do have them on demand still in the ESPN library. But it's just amazing to me, given that I know you now for 10 years, and we've talked to a lot of sports. Boxing and tennis hardly come up at all. And yet, when you were, entering your late teens,
13,
early
14,
20s.
15 years old, right.
Right, all the way through that period of time to the early 90s, these were the two most important sports to you. It's just funny how that works.
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't. It's not like I didn't pay attention to. Of course, I loved baseball, and I loved. I was a Pirates fan. In 1979, they win the World Series. I was 8 years old, so I was addicted to that too. But you could not gain access. See, Wide World of Sports. This is a big thing. Wide World of Sports would have legitimately great fights on Sundays. Like you could sit down and watch on regular television, broadcast network television, the Wide World of Sports, right? And Jim McKay and all that. And you would see some of the greatest champions in the different divisions fighting for titles. This wasn't like you had to wait, $100 million fight, pay-per-view, everybody gets together. You could just sit around and be like, oh, there's a big fight this Sunday. I'm going to watch it. And it would be two top 5 fighters in the world. So you had a lot of access to great fights. And it was just a different landscape. Sports, you could not easily digest and find with regularity the amount of sports we can today. I do feel like one of the things that is missing in the entertainment landscape in general is this shared experience. We don't have it anymore. Now, we did yesterday. I feel like a lot of people sat down and watched that Wimbledon final, and that's the way it used to be, that there were shows and there were sporting events that we all watched together as a nation.
Tigers Masters this year.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen. We're so segmented now. There's so many outlets with so many different types of shows and niche shows. You can watch every NBA game that is played for any team in any market. That didn't exist when I was a kid. So Sundays and Saturdays were a big deal.
I just feel like, and maybe it's because ESPN has vested interest in certain sporting leagues, I feel like it's fixed. And I don't mean that like rigged. I just mean like our priorities are fixed. They're in fixed positions. They don't flow. Like Wimbledon crops up out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, that's great. But NFL Live tomorrow at 4 o'clock for another hour about franchise tags and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the NBA offseason. That has been a fixed part, and it's found its way to become, ever since the decision, really, which is closing in on 10 years ago.
Which
and
is
that's
remarkable.
Nuts. But that's become a fabric of what we do in this time of year. But it's the NFL, then everybody else, and it's kind of the NBA who's taken that, 12-month approach where they have an offseason that
Smart
matters
of them
too.
to do it, yeah.
Right. But it's not like, it's July, so let's pay attention to this as a country or as a sporting world.
Right.
Oh, it's August, and so we pay attention. Not really.
No.
It's like the NFL all the damn time, and then the NBA gets the second most, and maybe MLB here and there, hockey never, and Tiger Woods. And there you go. That's like the sports world as we know it. Whereas in the 80s, you had everything. Think about the late 80s. And I'm not saying that because I know that you would agree. But, the late 80s had all kinds of awesomeness in the MLB. You had Lakers and Celtics in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You had a golden age of tennis. You had a golden age of boxing at every division, right?
Yeah, no, it was amazing, yeah.
Hockey was probably terrible in that period of time. I'm thinking back to some of those finals I've watched. It was pretty bad. So that was all the way out here. But you have all these other sports. Golf was amazing at that point too.
Yeah, I feel like golf is always going to be a niche sport, though. Even though it was amazing then, it's not. It's amazing right now. I think
it's in one of the best places it's ever been right now.
It's as healthy as it's ever been. You've got
because you've got generations colliding.
Well, and you've got 15 guys in any given tournament that are legitimately badass that could win that thing, and so it's come to a good place, and they all have kind of unique storylines.
But I just feel like the way we consume it, and we work for the grander part of the company, right? But it's the NFL is always going to be in that top 5 story range. They're going to have 2 or 3 of them every day, and maybe it's because the game is rigged a little bit, but
with coverage, yeah, that's
with coverage.
Yeah.
That's how it is. It's never about like Fed and Joker yesterday won't be all 5 stories. But if it was a great NFL Sunday Night Football game, those would be all 5 stories.
It'd be all
the
5
next day.
stories. Yeah. Well, tennis took a backseat for a variety of reasons. I think you really hit the nail on the head last week when you talked about the fact that we've been so lagging behind when it comes to a dominant male American tennis star. They haven't, Serena's a superstar and an all-time great champion, and she's owned women's tennis. Now, she got absolutely thrashed on Saturday, and that marks the 3rd straight final in which that's happened to her. We need her to perform better in these finals. But that said, I mean, her legacy is cemented, and she's still getting to finals. You can't find an American male on the tennis scene that you feel real good about. Every time one crops up, they're summarily dismissed by the big 3 rather quickly. I mean, you just don't see anybody emerging where there's a real energy. Roddick was probably the last of those guys, and I was reminded yesterday during the 5th set when they were talking about the all-time great matchups, and you and I talked about the 2008 Nadal-Federer final, which was incredible. But, man, poor Roddick played one of the all-time great matches in the history of Wimbledon and lost 16-14 or whatever it was in the 5th set. The only time he got broken the entire match was that last game against Federer. He could have had his Wimbledon title over Federer, and he played as well as he could possibly play. He didn't get it, and we really feel like his career was a failure. And that's unfortunate. What, he could get the one U.S. Open? Did he win anything else?
He was always chasing. It was always, will he ever be anything close to Agassi or Sampras?
He got screwed. He came along at a time when an all-time best was emerging. And so...
Well, and when an all-time great was retiring, that was his countryman.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty tough spot to be in because everybody fell in love with the serve, and he was all over television. The corporations couldn't wait to run behind this guy and put his name in front
Well, he was exciting. He was an exciting player. But and maybe this answers some of your question as we kind of vet this out loud. I don't know how entertaining this is for everybody, but I find it fascinating. I'll tell you what. We would argue, to show you the different eras, we would argue amongst each other the best American player, and that argument could be extrapolated for best in the world. This was, okay, so you're a Sampras guy, I'm an Agassi guy. Well, I really think that Roddick is going to emerge as, and Jim Courier, and you go on. There were 7 or 8 Americans at one time. Yeah. Michael Chang was an American. We go through this where at any given time, an American tennis player was either the best player in the world or in the conversation, going all the way back to McEnroe and before. So with Jimmy Connors, for example, you brought up return to serve. Jimmy Connors was the best I ever saw. Agassi later on, and now Joker. But you get to these guys where they had specialties. They had a uniqueness about their game. But, yeah, all of those eras, Connors and McEnroe, and then as we press forward, you're finding an American player to be in that conversation. They just don't exist right now.
No, they don't. And but I think, honestly, even if they did, it still is. It's the NFL's world, and everybody's living in it. I think that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but baseball was the most popular sport in America in the 70s and the 80s, easily, right?
Yeah.
It's of the big sports. Mm-hmm. Did it have that insurmountable of a lead where it felt like it was always? Is it like the NFL is now, or is the NFL now bigger than baseball was back in those days?
Well, certainly baseball, if you go back to the 40s and 50s and any era before that, was far and away the singular sport, along with boxing, ironically, but that was the one, right? And if you go back, way back, oddly enough, cycling was the most popular sport, which has always struck me as odd. It was, but yeah, no, I think the NFL has so far lapped any league's popularity in the history of documented sports coverage. Yeah.
Like, even if you want to bring combat sports into it and say UFC because ESPN now has a stake in it, and so they're going to push it more, it still feels forced. A prize fight, even today, a prize fight that people deem worthy, will always be a bigger event. I mean, it may take another generation before a UFC fight is that way, and it makes it into all corners of the country.
It's almost like they have too many of them.
Yeah.
It's like every weekend there's another big, which is not a bad thing if you love the technical aspect of the sport, the science of the sport, and the different styles. That's a great thing if you understand all of that.
Yeah, it's not like, tuning into a golf tournament every Sunday. You have to kind of gear up and watch it. It's intense.
Yeah, it is. No, I get it. I understand why one would be a fan of that, but it does. You're right. There's no the great championship bouts are still bigger. And that's what championship tennis is now. That's what it's relegated to. If you get a great match like we had yesterday in a Wimbledon in a major final, really, frankly, it's either the French Wimbledon, or the U.S. Open. If it's a great final in the Australian, I'm not sure everybody's exactly glued to that.
But if an American emerges, just think about Cocomania, right?
Oh, I want that so bad. I want it in both the men and women.
I would love it too.
We've had plenty of great American women's tennis players, and that's an awesome thing. And Serena's the best of all time, and that's great.
We've got Brooks Koepka.
Can we get a dude to rise up from this country, play decent tennis?
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
If you think it's hotter than Georgia asphalt, wait till you experience Kraft Nissan's sizzling July summer sale, but because of the response, we've extended until month end. For starters, the hotter than a firecracker 2019 Nissan Rogues are all $4,000 off. Own any Nissan in the family and you get an additional $1,000 loyalty cash. That's $5,000 off all Rogues in stock. We have over 90 to choose from. All 2019 Altimas are $5,000 off, and you get special interest rate of 1.9% for 60 months. You get both. Not hot enough? All 2019 Maximas and Muranos are $6,000 off, and you get special interest rates as well. And for the grand finale, 2019 Nissan Titan V8 Crew Cab start at only $29,950. Plus, Titan comes with America's best truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. No wonder Tallahassee is a Nissan town. Kraft Nissan Town. On Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Interest rates with approved credit. Prices include dealer preparation charges.
Not only does this taste well, if you're at Bumpa's Local 349, first of all, just saying the word lavash is awesome. It also tastes great because what it is it's topped with olive oil and garlic and Havarti cheese and Parmesan, and it's just damn delicious. But more than anything else, I'm glad it's good, because if it wasn't, I'd be so sad, because I'd want to say lavash. When they come over and they say, what do you want? I go, lavash! Listen, the menu's got burgers, it's got wings, it's got salads, it's got pastas, it's got ribs, it's got all the good stuff. It's got a bologna sandwich. It's got a bologna sandwich.
The penne alla vodka. This is interesting.
That's damn tasty.
It is damn tasty. It's not something that I'm picky when I eat.
You are.
My pop is a huge fan of penne alla vodka, and he says you got to have it done just
perfect.
right.
Theirs is perfect.
The reputation for that has made it into 3 different conversations I've been involved in over the last 2 months in Tallahassee. It's ridiculous.
Bumpa's Local 349. Good food, good people. Go see them. They're on Capitol Circle. Good stuff.
Sizzling summer savings continue at Jerry's Cigar Shop's Christmas in July sale. Through the month of July, you can buy one and get one free on thousands of the top name brand cigars only at Jerry's. Buy any specially marked 5-pack of cigars and get a second 5-pack free. These deals are only good in the month of July and only while supplies last. So hurry in before they're all gone. Stop by either Jerry's Cigar Shop locations today off Scherer Road on North Monroe Street or the new Northeast location on Cary Forest Parkway.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 Aurora wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi with breaking news from the NBA. The 76ers and star Ben Simmons agreed on a 5-year, $170 million max extension. Simmons, the number 1 overall pick in 2016, is one of the Sixers' cornerstone stars. Teammates, including Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Al Horford, previously agreed on their own long-term contracts. On this NFL franchise tag deadline day, sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter Jadeveon Clowney won't get a long-term deal done. No trade in the works for Clowney either. He's expected to miss most, if not all, of training camp, as he hasn't signed his nearly $16 million franchise tag for the 2019 season. There is one reason Clowney's next contract might not be as big as some other star defensive linemen, points out ESPN's Keyshawn Johnson.
Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, all of those guys can go get the quarterback. Jadeveon was drafted as the number 1 overall pick to go get the quarterback. Great run defender, but he hasn't lived up to it, like you said, at rushing the passer. And as we all know, this is a passing league. And if you got a guy that can go get the quarterback, he can wreak havoc and change the entire game, and he hasn't been able to do that.
Ahead of the deadline, kicker Robbie Gould and the 49ers agreed on a 2-year, $10.5 million fully guaranteed contract. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen, in a first-person story on ESPN's Front Row website, announced that he's battling Parkinson's disease. The 86-year-old said he was diagnosed in 2014, but is sharing his diagnosis now, hoping to help others struggling with the disease as well as those looking for a cure.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
At ESPN Radio, hello, good Monday, everybody. So what should I ask Willie Taggart on Wednesday when I see him? I don't know. I got time to think about it. We got an 8-hour drive tomorrow to figure it out, Tom.
There's a lot of angles you could take, but...
Well, knowing the positive perspective that he has, you know, Willie's been pretty transparent. I'll give him credit for that. He's a guy that will answer tough questions. So it's worth kind of pondering as we make our way up there for the ACC kickoff. Gets underway tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday will be the crux of the action, as that's when we get an opportunity to talk to players and coaches. Gonna jet out of there on Thursday to get back here in time to do a show, because I don't care about interviewing people from the Coastal. By the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. If you miss portions of the program, go get caught up. All 3 hours posted every day. When the show ends, we post it on iTunes and also the audio vault on the webpage. So go there. Hello, YouTubers and Periscopers.
I'd be interested to know something about just kind of his philosophy on when things get tougher, because everywhere he's been, it gets kind of worse, or it stays as bad as when he arrived, and then he flips it. But what's the philosophy there? When Jimbo was in trouble, he would micromanage, not just to make whatever changes behind the scenes he needed to, but then overall the processes as you got into camps and seasons. And I wonder, you know, Willie already has gotten more hands-on to make changes. The personnel changes were sweeping on the offensive side of the football. But now that we get back to fall camp, does that mean he's going to be more hands-on this year? Or does he just empower new people and hope that they do their job a little bit better? I just wonder, when push comes to shove and things go bad, when he's gotten out of these things in the past, does he become more of a micromanager, or does he find better people, at least in his mind, and then become even more hands-off in his own way?
Well, I think that you're talking about different situations. You know, at Western Kentucky, he had to build a program and transition them. And so he was afforded opportunities to you know, learn from mistakes, and the period of time in which he could adjust would be extended to 3 and 4 and 5 years, given what Western Kentucky is by way of comparison. When he got to South Florida, he certainly inherited a bit of a mess. Skip Holtz had made a mess of that place. And also, South Florida is not Florida State. It's not even Oregon. It's South Florida. So he could afford to make some mistakes or to run one kind of offense, realize that's not going to work with the personnel he has, make radical adjustments, go on the road, figure some things out, visit Baylor, Art Briles and Kendall Briles, and learn something that he thought better fitted his personnel, and then have the time to implement it and succeed that way. The biggest problem I think Willie has here is that we're none of those places. We're freaking Florida State, and you don't get 3 years to figure this out. You get 2. And if you have a disastrous season yet again, well, I don't think we'll ever be afforded the opportunity to see what you would have done in year 3 or 4. I'm saying a disastrous season.
Right, sure.
Now, again, and let me clarify something, because I got an interesting email, and I had somebody call me after the Friday show where we were talking about the willingness of certain money boosters to write the check, the buyout check of some $20 million if things went south this year. And I went back and listened to see what I said, because somebody asserted that I said even if he goes 7-5 that he could be fired. And we were very careful. I went back and listened to us, and I was happy with the way that we worded things. We said it's highly unlikely, but how you win and to whom you lose to matters. So if you beat the 7 worst teams on your schedule, lost to the 5 good to decent teams you've played, and got blown out in all 5 of those games, and your 7 wins were against bad teams and you barely skirted by and you look disorganized just like you did last year, then is there an outside chance that could happen? Yes. Very slim, less than 5%. Yes, there's a scenario by which that could happen. I was painting the picture of if they look completely disorganized again, if they are simply dreadful in areas, say offense, special teams, like they were a year ago, then you could see it happen sooner rather than later, and that there would be people willing to write that check. And I will stand by that. That is true. If they go 5-7 with this schedule and look that disorganized, he will not be back for a 3rd year, I don't believe.
Well, and I think you said separately earlier, this is before this discussion on Friday, if he goes 7-5, you're about done.
Yeah, I said I would be done with this schedule. I don't know. Maybe there's a scenario. There's always a scenario where you go, okay, well, maybe that's not true. What if you have a bunch of injuries that you got to overcome, or you play a lot of close games that just don't go your way? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see it play out.
Well, the appearance on the surface to anybody who's just maybe, let's just say you're covering Clemson for a living, right? Mm-hmm. And so here comes Willie, and you know a little bit about what's gone on this offseason. The 100,000-foot view would be, okay, he slashed and burned the offensive staff. He gave up play calling. He hired in these people to set it and forget it and then worry about other stuff. But on the circuit, at least when he's on the booster circuit in Atlanta, he said, well, that's not really that true. It's still my vision. I'm guiding the vision. Now, they may handle some more day-to-day ops, but I'm guiding the vision. They're allowed to call the plays. That's the name of the game. I just wonder how much that's actually going to be true when, let's say, it's Tuesday of week 3 and you're going on the road to Virginia. What's that going to look and feel like? And does Willie have precedent in his career, maybe not with the giving up of the play calling, but does he have precedent in his career where he had to have plan B? And how does that look? Does he become more involved with perceived weak points no matter the phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams? Does he stick to his bread and butter and trust people to handle their own business because he hired them, he put them in position? I just wonder. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go about fixing this issue, and those decisions, I think, are ultimately going to be affecting how smoothly we run this year and whether or not he makes it to year 4 and year 5, let alone year 3.
If you're rooting for Florida State at a tumultuous time with the state open for business like it is, because I'm not sold that Florida's where they need to be just yet. They've had a tough summer so far, and they have not capitalized from a recruiting standpoint on the successes of last year's year 1 under Dan Mullen. You're also hearing some rumors out there. There could be some suspensions forthcoming.
Rampant. Yeah, there's a lot of smoke there.
There's a lot of smoke down in Gainesville right now, and it doesn't read well. I don't know what Miami is. I'm not completely sold on Manny Diaz, so that's why I say the state is open for business, and you need to make headway. You need to take steps forward now that show you have the opportunity to capitalize on the turmoil in a recruiting-rich region. So you got to win games. That's a long-winded way of saying you got to win games and look like you have a clue what you're doing. To me, I don't think that you make the changes that you make and you pay the salaries that you're paying to those individuals if you're not willing to take a major step back as it pertains to the operation of your offense. All of those changes are on offense, and those changes are significant. You brought in guys that have done it a certain way, that have been together while doing it a certain way. I don't imagine you want to meddle with that. I think he's talking about big picture vision. He's talking about how we handle the stuff behind the scenes that were so disorganized a year ago and making improvements in that way, and thus allowing for a shared vision and a more organized group to move forward that benefit greatly from the hires that he just made, right? I mean, the successes are going to come on the field in terms of execution of the offense by virtue of the decision you made to bring those people in who have had proven success time and again.
Yeah, I just wonder, and people behind the scenes there I'm sure know the answer to it, but the one nugget of information that we got when he was, I think it was a direct interview with you, and he was talking about, I've gotten to sit in on defensive meetings now. I just wonder if he's there yet where he's all the way comfortable with the staff, and so, yes, he's going to be the CEO and handle all but behind-the-scenes stuff, and then he'll oversee practice and tweak some things where he needs to. I wonder if he's not going to hover on the defense a little bit this year. I feel like he might. I feel like maybe this change in your front seven scheme, I don't know if that's Harlan's idea first or if that's Willie's idea. I'd just be interested, once we get into the fall camp, we'll probably get some more answers, at least through back channels. But I wonder what that's going to be about this season. Is he going to focus on special teams, which were a disaster? Is he going to focus on the defense? Or is he still going to be heavily involved with the offense? He's got a lot of ways he can go about it.
Well, I mean, goodness gracious. Special teams cannot continue to be this dumpster fire that is cross coaching staffs. I mean, this is unbelievable how long we've been bad in a key area of your football program. I don't know. I mean, Jimbo in his last year just sat up there and repeatedly somehow deflected from what we all saw time and again. And then last year you thought there's no way it could be as bad as it was under Jimbo's final season as head coach, and it was worse. That cannot continue, and it's not hard, man. Any coach worth his salt would see that there's an area that is failing miserably. You might say there are lots of things that are wrong with my program. There are lots of things that I've got to get fixed, some of which are going to be long-term projects. I can't snap my fingers and improve my offensive line until I get better players at the position and maybe a coach who's in lockstep with what I want to do offensively. And so we're going to make these changes. And until those changes are made, I'm going to have a hard time winning football games. But you can look at your special teams and go, all right, this isn't working. I'm taking this over.
Right.
And that's my criticism. What are we doing here with that? That's just ridiculous. You're hamstringing yourself time and again.
Well, if you put two columns next to each other, right, and you rated the segment or the phase of the game, right, and then the personnel you have to fix it. Like, even though defense might be like a 7 out of 10, you're like, oh, we need to really work on what we need here. The personnel wouldn't be a 7 out of 10 bad. You feel like you've got some people who might have answers. On offense, the offensive line, that might be a 10 out of 10 in terms of concern.
Yes.
But in terms of the concern level of the personnel you have to coach it now, that might be like a 2 because you made a hire of Randy Clemens.
That you believe in, yeah.
Special teams is probably a 10 and a 10 if you're looking at the staff you have before you and the need to fix something. It's probably a 10 and a 10. So if I was prioritizing it that way and I were him, I'd look at special teams like a lot. Maybe that's what I would manage.
Right after the Syracuse game, I would have taken it over.
Yes. Yeah, you can't look like that on the sidelines as a group. And the cameras did catch that.
Right after the Syracuse game, I'd have said, that's it. I'm taking this over. You don't know what you're doing.
Now, Snyder's supposed to be working on it this year, but I mean, okay, does that mean he's our de facto solution here, or is he going to be the lead assistant where Willie is guiding all of the meetings?
Part of what we're talking about here is having gone through a full season of seeing the setbacks and understanding the levels of disaster, engaging that, right? I guess when you're mired in it, it's a little bit more difficult to see the forest for the trees. That was, okay, I know this is a problem, but man, we can't block. And oh, by the way, so there's all this other stuff. And I think that's the area that he most resoundingly failed, was that, as I've said, there were all these fires, and instead of just putting out one or two of them and saying, okay, I'm going to take care of these two. These two things are going to be put out. I've still got these other 6 fires, and they're hurting my program, but these two are dealt with. He just sprinkled water on all of them, and none of them got put out. And so that, I think, ultimately was his biggest mistake. And I think, too, when you're a coach and you take over a program that is obviously lacking, that you wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be the new coach if everything was going hunky-dory. So you're going to have issues. When you come in and you're assessing all these issues, you're also simultaneously selling a vision. That's what you have to do. You come in and you're selling the fans a vision, and you're selling your players in the locker room a vision. And even if you think, I got a few kids that aren't going to buy in and I'm not real sure I can trust these guys, I think coaches sometimes are guilty of lying to themselves because you're so committed to selling this vision, so committed to getting people on board and in lockstep with what you're preaching, that you can't afford to show doubt. You can't afford to show that perhaps you're not entirely all in on that vision, right? It takes real courage, and I'm going to give him credit. It takes real courage to do what Frost did at Nebraska, to look your fans in the face and to go after getting your head kicked in before the press and go, well, you think that's bad? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. I'll find the guys that want to be here, and we'll win games. May not be this year, but it's going to happen. Not many people can do that. And I think he benefited from having done it at UCF and learned his lesson, right? Not many people, when trying to simultaneously sell tickets, go on booster tours, sell your current players, win them over, save a recruiting class, put together a coaching staff, can then stand up there and go, by the way, bear with me, we're kind of going to suck this year. It's hard to do, and I think that was a mistake, but an understandable one. I mean, you took over at a time where it's your first ever early signing class, and you're trying to salvage a recruiting class that the previous regime had given up on and stopped calling.
Without a staff.
Well, trying to put together a staff. And then getting, I think to some degree, knifed a little bit because you thought for sure you were going to grab those guys from Oregon, and then Oregon said, we're not getting screwed in all this. We'll overpay our guys. You're not taking them. Okay, well, now I got a problem. Now I've got to save this class, put together a staff, first ever early signing period, and hope that they'll buy into the vision that I have.
Right. And now what you're doing after year one is you've got all of these issues. So you got an offense issue, you got a defense issue, you got a special teams issue, and you've got an organization issue when it comes to dealing with recruits, being buttoned up with that process.
The organizational stuff has to get righted, man.
It does. I 100% agree. But I think what you'd say at this point, assuming that, not every choice he makes will be a disaster, right? Is that the offense issue is at least in the process of being resolved. It's gone from like code red to maybe code yellow. It's gone through the orange phase. It's yellow.
Think relative to the offensive line they have, I still think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think offensively you're going to see a much better product.
Well, and I'm talking about just solving how you go about doing things. So you feel pretty good about that one. Okay, so now I've got 3 fires left. The defense fire is not too bad. The special teams is an entire apartment building ablaze.
I got to get to that one.
I got to get to that one now. But I'm going to be checking in on the defense one because I don't need that costing me my job and undercutting all what we're doing here. Then there's also the organization thing. Now, David Kelly was moved off of the field and retained on staff to handle that stuff. And that's one of Willie's most trusted people. So you probably don't prioritize that one as high as the defense. So it probably goes maybe special teams, defense, and then behind the scenes.
You've already assessed properly. So
in terms of his time management is what I'm talking about.
You just said it. You leave it there. You've got it offensively. You've handed it over. There you go. It's all you guys. I don't need to worry about this. This is off my plate. Take care of this. We share the same vision. That's why I brought you in. That's why I went to visit you the first time I did. You guys take care of this. If you're him, I think the next thing you do is you certainly remedy this special teams disaster. Now think about it. If your offense is not pathetic, you're not putting the defense behind the 8 ball in field position, and your special teams give you a fighting chance to have the ball somewhere other than your own freaking 7 to start a drive, you've really offset 2 of the most glaring issues from all of last year. Now, you've got personnel issues you still got to address on the offensive line, but you can't do it all at once, and that takes time, and that'll happen in recruiting when you win some football games.
And it does look like, the recruiting's been spotty, but and especially with 5 and 7, I think they're doing pretty good, but they're addressing linebacker like right away.
Yeah.
They are really taking a sledgehammer to that thing.
Well, they were terrible at that position. Yeah. They're doing some things right now. I think that given they were 5-7, they've had about as good as a recruiting class as you could have on the horizon. I think they got good things in works there. The next step can't be made until you show signs that you can win football games. The best recruits aren't saying yes to a 5-7 program when they have choices. So fix the special teams right now. You've already fixed the offense and handed over the keys. That will greatly benefit this defense. When we're able to pin people down inside their 20 because you were able to get a few first downs and give your defense a rest, you got a fighting chance. Address the lack of personnel and talent at linebacker, give your defense a chance. Then you could properly assess what Harlan Barnett is or is not doing. Until that time, it's a little unfair. I'm hard on Harlan because of what happened in the NC State game and a couple other games where I thought he got out-coached, out-schemed. But listen, admittedly, no other offense in the country in a Power 5 program put their defense in a worse situation than us.
Right, but here's the thing. Okay, so if he's taught 4-3 for a long time, and now I know he's worked with Saban, he's got some background there too, but you're flipping to the 3-4.
That's a personnel situation. That's why.
You think that's solely to do with pass rush and a lack thereof?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a personnel situation.
So let's say we recruit the way we want to. Do we pivot right back to it, or is this going to be one of those, well, let's try it, and you know what? Let's just stick with it from here on out. I just wonder if that's...
Well, I can worry about that once we're competent.
I just wonder if it's unfair to... I mean, if you're trying to change your scheme up front, I mean, defensive back play is defensive back play, but if you're trying to change your scheme up front, does that make it more unfair to figure out what the hell exactly Harlan Barnett is?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that Harlan did
Snyder
inherit.
got removed from defensive ends, and now you got Odell coaching all the way on the front.
Which I think is a nice... I'm a big Odell guy, so I think that's an upgrade. Yeah. By the way, it should also be noted in the midst of all this evaluation and trying to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to be better and things to take that allow you to move forward. Let's not forget they really were banged up last year defensively. I mean, that's not to make excuses. That's the reality. Stanford Samuels never got to that high end that he's capable of because he was hurt. And then Levante Taylor was hurt as well. Again, they didn't always play with great technique. They weren't always where they needed to be, but they were also hampered by injury.
Yeah, you lose a corner in week 2 that you probably could have used once Westbrook was uncovered to be.
So you really had some issues that affected this team that from a physical standpoint, and then never mind how beat up they felt mentally because they were constantly defending a short field.
And always on the field. So it's just... You see how these things begin to magnify, and then it affects really the way you view assessing each individual group because you're like, well, this was terrible. Yeah, but Jeff, man, they were on the field facing an offense, their side of the 50, more than any other team in the Power 5 last year. Of the 3 phases, the defense is the one that's most in the clear, but it wasn't in the clear.
It wasn't great. Wasn't great.
Just mostly.
But until you fix special teams and you have a modicum of success on offense, you can't assess defense all that well. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Includes you. We are one tribe together, and we remain unconquered. We need you in Doak Campbell Stadium this fall, and that begins by getting season tickets now. Visit us online at Seminoles.com or call 1-888-FSU-NOLE and get ready to hear
Touchdown, Florida State!
very soon.
Hendrick. We're celebrating the Hendrick Summer Sales Event all month long at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. Shop over 300 new Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs right here on Tennessee Street or find new roads at DaleJuniorChevy.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
If you go skydiving, make sure your parachute works. Eat your vegetables applies to adults, too. And I know it's a pain, but it's a good idea to floss every once in a while. These have been some live-long tips brought to you by the Florida Lottery. With the Week for Life scratch-offs, you can win up to $5,000 every week for the rest of your life. So you just have to live long and win on. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
Claim it.
Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is the Jeep headquarters of America. We've purchased over 100 Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120, on sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fees. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
Hey, buddy, listen, I'm curious, kind of solve a debate I'm having with my wife here, and I feel a little guilty, so I figured I'd ask you. When was the first time you ever cursed in front of your kids?
Jeff, in front of your kids or at your kids?
Okay, you saw right through me. You're right. At your children.
Well, Jeff, I mean, I don't know. What was it, 2 months old? Couldn't sleep, a little sleep deprived.
Okay, I'm not talking about when they pee on you and stuff like that, Eddie, and they're never going to remember it. I'm talking about, like, I got a little mad today, and I said something to my kid, and it may not have been the nicest thing to say, and I realized that I cursed at my kid.
Well, Jeff, that happens to guys like you. To me, I would never do such a thing. But,
This guy.
I'll
have some mahi fingers and think about it.
You should, because that always helps you think. And it's a form of penance. I'm going to charge you double.
Charge me double. I curse at my kids, everybody. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Napa know-how.
At Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers, get a $25 prepaid Visa card when you get any Napa automotive battery. It's the best deal for some of the best batteries from some of the best car people around. But we might be a little partial. Anywho, pick up any Napa automotive battery and save $25. Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers while supplies last. Offer ends 8/31/19.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jay Cameron Show, that synopsis at 4:17 of the tableau. Coach Taggart, confronted during his first season, makes the case for why I believe he should get a third year, save for a complete catastrophe happening in 2019. Yeah, I think that's fair, Mario. I believe most people, and I'm included in that list, would tell you that he deserves a third year. I'm uncomfortable having that conversation before we get into year two because I'd like to see some significant improvement from an organization standpoint and game management standpoint before I'm bullish on that issue. But time is of the essence, and I think that's the only reason we're sort of having this conversation. Well, it's one of the only reasons we're having this conversation, but it's apparent to me that the state's there for the taking. If you look at people that cover recruiting, If you talk to people at War Chant or 247 or Tomahawk Nation or wherever you go for your recruiting news, right? These people who are in it, who are on the ground covering recruiting.
ifollowthekitties.com.
That's correct. The one I run. That's right. So if you talk to those people, they'll tell you that in many ways, since they've been doing this, this state has been ripe for the picking from out-of-towners. That, Florida's been poorly run and played a bad brand of football for some time. You got to go back 2 and 3 years with us where we haven't been operating at peak efficiency. Miami certainly hasn't for 20 years. So a program that rises the way that Georgia has, certainly the way that Alabama has been able to sustain, and now Clemson, comes in here and grabs the pick of the litter. They roll on into the state of Florida and do things that would have previously been unheard of, grabbing the best player in the state at key positions and just saying, well, you don't want to stay in state. I mean, Jesus, look at the 3 programs you have to choose from.
Yeah, think about the Putnam kid on signing day.
Yeah.
And we thought we had him until the 11th hour and then realized, he's going to choose Clemson because it's not a tire fire at Clemson.
Right.
And that's the only reason. That was a clear recruitment that came down to the fact that we're nowhere near to where we need to be and they're buttoned up. And so the distance is no longer the deciding factor for him because it's drastic enough.
Yeah.
The difference between the way we're run and the way they're run.
And so because that's been the case and because we're still a viable contender to win the state, to get back to winning the state, that's why time is of the essence. You feel a sense of urgency because while we would all in a perfect world like to be sure that Willie gets 3 and 4 years and, anymore, also there are other elements that come into play with this because let's not forget, again, I've brought this up before, but early recruiting period was brand new his first year. There are a lot of indicators that people who took over programs in that situation really were up against it. That none of the situations where that was the case did the coach have real good success in recruiting. And that was a unique set of challenges, right? So include that in the mix. Now, add to the picture, you have an outgoing president. When that is, we're not sure, but after next year, certainly after the following year, we don't anticipate that President Thrasher will still be the president at the university. At that point, when the new president comes in, he will almost assuredly hire his own athletic director. That person then would want to make his own hire of the head coach.
Yeah,
you got a lot of factors here, man. There is a lot to happen, to play out over the next 2 and 3 years. We just made the transformation to streamline our booster situation to be more like it is at other places. So and that's why it's so important that we get it right, that we start improving in key areas that show growth that allow then for us to go out and utilize the strength of our head coach, which is his youth, relatability, and recruiting. Go out there and utilize it. But you can't do it if you're 5-7. You can't do it if you're not winning games. Can't do it if you're not buttoned up and showing signs that you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, the idea being that when the new president and athletic director arrive, that he or she doesn't think of the football program as a problem, but an asset. That's a reason I should go there because I'm going to be bringing in extra money. And think about it. I mean, honestly, if the football program is trending back in the right direction, there's going to be a trailing effect of the money coming. But that president or athletic director could preside over the rise and then claim 3 or 4 years later, well, see, look how much more money we're making now.
Right,
Aren't
yeah.
I the greatest president or athletic director that's ever come to this university? Because that's the truth of it. The schedule is such that over the next couple of years, if you win this year and lay the groundwork, in about 2021 or 2022, this program's going to be, bringing in money hand over fist. You'll have the ACC network money, but then people, I think that's how long it's going to take for people to actually commit the dollars to come back and buy season tickets. Not a one-off game late in the season because we surprised, but truly to buy season tickets and to buy them in big numbers. 45,000 preseason season ticket packages sold.
Nobody wants to buy in this right now because there's a sense of uncertainty. So you are absolutely right. Laying that groundwork is imperative to get people to once again trust that they're going to watch a product that's worth.
That's what 8-4, 9-3 would do, though. It would create.
I don't think 8-4 does. I think 9-3 does. I actually think the line is really thin there. I think 8-4 with this schedule. Who'd you beat if you go 8-4?
But if you go 8-4 and convince or trick a couple of recruits, depending on how you want to look at it, to say yes to you because things are turning around, and you have a top 10 class, number 8 in the country composite ranking class with a couple of headliners like a quarterback and Sims.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point the offseason next year is much more positive. I really do. Let's say you go 8-4 and Jim Leavitt's your new defensive coordinator. I think that, and you have a top 10 class.
We're firing Harlan already.
No. I'm just devising a scenario by which people would still have a lot of positive buzz coming into the preseason because the offense would be theoretically improved in a scenario in which you're changing your defensive coordinator, right? Yeah. So then you fix the defense. You have a good recruiting class. Okay, I think 2.0, maybe 2.5, whatever you want to call it, because he's made 2 changes in 2 years. We've got this thing rolling in the right direction. I still think with 8-4, you could put those pieces together and people would be enthused.
Depends on what that 8-4 looks like. Again, if you play 4 good teams, and this year's schedule really only allows for about 4 good teams that you're going to face, and you get blown out by all 4, no, won't work. If you're close in a game against Florida or Clemson, and maybe you lose a heartbreaker on the road to Virginia, sprinkle in, I don't know, an NC State game or something like that.
Yeah, a BC game. It's in a weird place again in the schedule.
Something like that where you're competitive.
But you beat Miami.
And you look competitive in games against teams with winning records. And there's an obvious uptick in organization.
Go to a good bowl game.
Scoring some damn points. I mean, we scored 21 points a game last year.
Yeah. It's hard to do this day and age.
I mean, it really is. That's just not going to get it done. So if you did all of that, then yes, maybe 8-4 would work. By the way, let's not forget next year, 2020, since we're getting ahead of ourselves, we are playing West Virginia in Atlanta. First game of the year at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, followed by a trip to Boise, out to Idaho, where we go.
Boy, a lot of non-Tallahassee dates there, because I'm sure we have to play some road games in that first 6-week span.
Yeah. Gotta stop doing that. But we're committed to not doing that any longer. So, by the way, just because I do this every time I go down the rabbit hole, here we go. 2021. Is that when we get when do we get the Georgia game? No,
that's mid part of the next decade, isn't it? I think 2025, 2026.
We got Notre Dame at Doe Campbell Stadium in 2021. Have to get some revenge.
Yeah, that protects against the fact that we're playing Clemson and Florida on the road. So then you need another ACC team to be good.
Really? We don't have anything in 2023? When do we get a good game? When is this? Don't we have that LSU series? When the hell is that?
That's in there somewhere.
When? Where? Who?
I don't know.
Wow.
21-22?
Why? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing this. I'm looking for it.
Well, it's not a...
It's we're in New Orleans, right? We're in the Sugar Bowl.
New Orleans and Orlando is that series.
Which is ridiculous.
2022-2023.
That's the
yeah, that's when we go travel for both of those games. We'll go 5.5, 6 hours to New Orleans, and we'll go 4 hours to Orlando.
Listen, New Orleans is one of my very favorite cities. Just now that we've had time to realize it's maybe not so beneficial to sell off all your potentially decent home games to
imagine Florida State LSU here.
Yes, I can. I'd like to imagine that. And I'd like to see that other game, Baton Rouge, place we just visited. Would be fun. Go there. Just as it would be fun to not be traveling to Jacksonville for this game against Boise State, but rather hosting it here in Tallahassee.
That's why we need the unlimited drink tickets.
From our friends at Madison Social and For the Table Hospitality. And that's why we will go, and we will tailgate with them in an indoor air-conditioned facility with real bathrooms and real drink tickets.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
deadline day. Sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter Jadeveon Clowney won't get a long-term deal done. No trade in the works for Clowney either. He's expected to miss most, if not all, of training camp, as he hasn't signed his nearly $16 million franchise tag for the 2019 season. There is one reason Clowney's next contract might not be as big as some other star defensive linemen, points out ESPN's Keyshawn Johnson.
Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, all of those guys can go get the quarterback. Jadeveon was drafted as the number 1 overall pick to go get the quarterback. Great run defender, but he hasn't lived up to it, like you said, at rushing the passer. And as we all know, this is a passing league. And if you got a guy that can go get the quarterback, he can wreak havoc and change the entire game, and he hasn't been able to do that.
Ahead of the deadline, kicker Robbie Gould and the 49ers agreed on a 2-year, $10.5 million fully guaranteed contract. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen, in a first-person story on ESPN's Front Row website, announced that he's battling Parkinson's disease. The 86-year-old said he was diagnosed in 2014, but is sharing his diagnosis now, hoping to help others struggling with the disease as well as those looking for a cure.
Hendrick.
It's the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, a proud partner of the Hendrick Automotive Group. 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 trucks up to $50,000 off MSRP. Plus, get a 24 Orca cooler when you buy any new GMC truck. We are professional grade on Capitol Circle Northeast under the giant American flag. Or shop DaleJuniorGMC.com. Cooler valued at $199. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
It's been many months since Hurricane Michael devastated our area. Many people are still dealing with the damages and finding it hard to get a local contractor to contact them. Are you struggling with getting assistance to fix your damages? Are you feeling like your insurance company is not being fair? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, we can help. My name is Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I'm asking you to give us a call today for your free consultation. Let my company guide you through the process to get your home back to normal.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Hendrick.
We're celebrating the Hendrick Summer Sales Event all month long at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. Shop over 300 new Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs right here on Tennessee Street, or find new roads at DaleJuniorChevy.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Hi folks, Dierks Bentley here. Being on the go is a big part of my life. I love seeing new places, meeting new people, and performing all over the world. For energy on the go, for me, it's 5-Hour Energy. It works fast, works long, and it tastes good. With 0 sugar and 4 calories. Try it. It could work for your on-the-go life too. 5-Hour Energy. Energy on the go. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
Not a big summer guy. Too hot. Not a big winter guy either. Too cold. My favorite season? Safety season. Because it's every season. 24/7, 365. For all things safety, I trust Grainger. Grainger's safety experts have the safety solutions and expertise to help keep your facility safe and your people safer all year long. Seasons may change, but Grainger's always got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by for all things safety. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Fatty Fat Phil Mickelson went 6 days without eating, fasted to heal. Total reset before the British Open. Locked himself away in a cabin, drank a bunch of tea.
And some special coffee that he made sure to mention the brand name of and said he was working on it with a friend.
Won't make a difference, right?
So he lost 15 pounds in 6 days. It's an awful lot. He's not as fat as he was 15 years ago.
That's some special coffee. That's a special.
15 pounds in 6 days?
Well, when you miss 6 out of 8 cuts, I think it was, it's about time to look at your game a little bit there, my man. Let's try to keep it in the fairway every once in a great while.
I mean, if John Daly lost 15 in 6 days, I'd believe that. But Phil wasn't,
No, he wasn't rotund.
Is he just coming off of some time in Vegas?
As an aside, it is British Open week, and this is getting overlooked because of ACC kickoff, because of the amazing Wimbledon finals we just watched, all that stuff. But, man, it's British Open week, and they are on a truly unique course. They've been playing there since 1888. Portrush is hard to analyze. It's hard to know what we're looking at.
No, there's so much new stuff this year. They've redone at least, I think, 3 of the golf. I think it's 8 have been changed in some way, be it the order or changing the tee box or the greens. But then they created some new golf holes on this course. So I think 10 through 16 are the same and in sequence of the way they used to be. But they've really made this thing special for the Open Championship. And so we know that even with Augusta this year, they redid the 18th green. I remember Tiger got mad on 72 and Brooks missed a putt that said they should break a certain way, but they didn't. It's because the players didn't have time to adjust to what should be happening. I think local knowledge will be helpful for patches of this course, and Brooks Koepka has his caddy is from right around the corner from this golf course, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that the locals won't even know because this has really never been tried at this level for this golf course.
No exception to some of the elements that are always in play for the British Open that also help dictate terms here. Wet, rainy, cool, almost every time we see a British Open. The weather forecast for the final major of the year, is calling for rain all 4 days of the tournament. That according to the Weather Channel. It's expected Thursday's first round to rain as well. Temperatures will reach a high of 60. Light rain forecast to continue through Friday with a high in the low 50s at that time. Ball striking is important. Ball striking is really important when you're dealing with inclement weather and you have to pierce said wind.
What does that weather report tell you, though? I think first and foremost for me means that Tiger's screwed.
Yes.
He's got no chance. And it's not about the wind. It's not about the rain. It's about the temperature.
Temperature says he's going to have a problem. However, I am curious. I know from a yardage standpoint, it's a big course. But statistically speaking, Tiger is still one of the best right now on tour through this season in that ball striking statistic. It actually shocked me. Went and looked it up. He's number 1 in many of the categories there. So if driving distance doesn't become a big deal here, and I won't know till I see the layout and how it's affected by this.
You won't even know morning to afternoon based upon what the front is doing.
Then he may have an outside shot if ball striking is paramount here, which it often is in terms of cutting in the wind. Listen, at this point, I would argue then that you got to look at a guy like Tommy Fleetwood, who's a ball striking Jesse. Of course, you're going to look at Rory McIlroy, and you're going to look at Brooks Koepka, which is a given, obviously.
One stat I didn't realize about Rory this year, because the standard's so high
his
for
11
him,
top 10s?
in 14 starts.
Yeah, he has 11 top 10s. I've been talking about this all year long, that if think about this now, anybody else.
11 out of 14.
If anybody else has 11, and you make fun of him all the time, he has 11 top 10s.
Because he never sniffs a win. It's funny. He
He won at Sawgrass. So he's got...
Major, sorry.
But come on, man. He won in the best field that was a non-major this year, and he has major championships.
It's different in his mind, so it must truly be different.
But I'm saying if you have major championships, he has all but one, and you have one this year at Sawgrass, and you've got 11 top 10s, you're playing exceptionally good golf. I agree that if it comes down to him or Brooks right now, I'm taking Brooks, but that's with him or that's with Brooks against anybody.
He's
really.
the anti-Brooks. He's consistent as can be everywhere except for these 3 weekends we've had so far this year. And Brooks, pretty shaky in a lot of these tournaments that he's starting, mostly because he doesn't care.
We think. He's not playing real well right now.
The Byron Nelson, he played well. But then in the majors, he is unbeatable almost.
So John Rahm at the Irish Open drops down with 2 amazing weekend scores and wins again, 2 of the last 3 years, and is playing great golf. We keep waiting for him to cash it in and become a champion as well. I don't know if whether his sensibilities are such that if he can stay composed, then it's tough for him to win. And I wonder if a tournament like this, which tests your composure.
Well, it would, absolutely. But
it tests mine. That's when I watch it. I get so pissed off.
Sneaky good performance for John at the U.S. Open, though. He had some momentum there. That was a good, solid weekend for him where he didn't go crazy. And then he wins the Irish Open, and that's, 2 out of 3 or back-to-back, did you say?
Yeah, 2 out of 3. Yeah, he's won 2 out of 3. Yeah, he plays well there.
All right, well, I mean, it is in Ireland, so this year, it's the first time since 51.
Ricky's won that thing before, too, and, is Ricky, he's a hell of a ball striker. Is he going to have
He had a great Thursday at the U.S. Open, but he didn't have as good of a weekend as John did.
He had a great Thursday, and then he went away. But he's a great ball striker.
He went away so much he didn't congratulate Woodland.
Which was stunning that he wasn't around.
He took your advice.
He wasn't around to give hugs. If he was listening to the national show, Beyond the Tips, then he would have heard. Because I made Trey uncomfortable by saying if that guy is still sitting around waiting to hug other people for winning, he doesn't have the proper PR folks in his corner. Come on, Ricky. I got you, man. It's not a good look. I'll be sticking around for 6 hours so you can tell everybody else how great they are. Stop
Wouldn't you have more respect for him if he had like another tall boy in hand and he was walking out and he was in the clubhouse just throwing it back?
Yeah. Like,
another wasted opportunity.
Oh, God. This time around, I wasn't even close.
Congrats, Brooks. Then he stumbles back in.
I mean, he's going to win a major. I don't know if it's this one, but he is. He's going to win a major. He's too good, man. He had an entire year where he finished second in every one of them, and he got screwed a couple of times. He played really well. We tend to forget this when you've been labeled as the best to never have.
Yeah.
And usually that just takes over the narrative. That happened to Phil. I mean, for the longest, we're like, yeah, that's great. He's got 40 wins. You ever going to win a major? And then now he's got...
We should have a yearly bet. Let's go in halves on like a Ricky Fowler T-shirt from Puma, just the most ridiculous shirt you've ever seen.
Okay, a bright orange one?
At the end of every year. Like if he doesn't win any, then you got to wear it for a show. And if he wins one, then I got to wear it that year and the following year when he defends his title.
Only when he defends the title. Okay, yeah. All right, well, we'll start that next year. We're not doing that now. We didn't. No. Yeah. But I like it. I like that. I root for him to win one. I don't like to see great players who are consistently, top 10, top 20 players not get their just due. I like to see those guys finish it off at some point. And a lot of times, the reason that they haven't isn't completely because they choke. It's because of circumstances. Trey likes to point out, others point out, you can't control what somebody else does. Nobody would have said that Phil choked in the British Open that he lost to Henrik Stenson. I mean, you can't play better than that.
Unbelievable.
And Stenson did. And for that matter, I mean, we've got a couple of guys like that. What's his face who won't tip? Kuchar. I could not have played any better when he lost.
And he had to wait 45 minutes for a driving range ruling. Ridiculous.
I forgot.
He's standing at the green.
Yeah.
He should have continued on. He would have been well within his rights in my book.
Yeah, but
Jordan's going to take an hour over here.
Well, Jordan liked the cameras. If you recall,
he likes that chaos. He feeds off of it.
And he does know the rules, and that was something that was pointed out to me by people later on, was that, hey, listen, there are a lot of guys on that tour that don't even know they could do that. So he gets credit for knowing that that's well within his rights to go, hey, wait a minute now.
The truth is, I'll root for Ricky if he's 2 ahead with 3 to play on a Sunday. Like, I'll be
close
like,
it out,
right,
buddy. Close it out. Get it done.
But I just kind of want Lee Westwood to have a pal. Like Tiger and Jack can have conversations that nobody can. But I think Lee Westwood and Ricky, Ricky's on that path to where they can speak the same language.
Lee Westwood has a pal in his own country, Colin Montgomery, and he can drink a lot. I mean, there's plenty to talk about.
Who wants to be friends with Colin?
Other guys that have failed in big moments, there they are.
Lee Westwood's putt at the Ryder Cup is the one that takes the cake, though. It's like a 1.5 feet for a half match.
Hunter Mahan's chip in the Ryder Cup. Go back and pull that up on YouTube during the break. It's
a Larry Mize.
Well, it's used by Club Pro guy all the time when talking about. It's like a half an inch.
So Schleybaugh wrote an article. It's actually one that doesn't have anything to do with anything other than journalism, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about Spieth, and it's on the front page of ESPN.com. I didn't realize this. On hole 18 on Sunday, he apparently cold-topped his second shot from the right-hand rough.
This past weekend?
No, at the U.S. Open at Pebble. So Schleybaugh was painting the picture of how Jordan played at a turn with Sergio, and Sergio was not happy about that, I think on number 15. And then Jordan, it was anonymous because he wasn't a factor.
He wasn't in contention.
But I guess Schleybaugh was following him.
Yeah.
And then on 18, his second shot, he hit a hybrid. He says it was a full violent swing and the ball dribbled 75 yards down the middle of the fairway.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. How about Fox for not showing that? What the hell?
Protection. They would have shown it if it were reversed and that was Sergio hitting out of turn. I promise you that. Then again, he would have deserved it. But
well, even the cold top.
He's got,
Fox showed a lot of golf shots. You don't think we wanted to see that one?
It shows that pros do that, by the way. I mean, because of the nature of the way they cover golf tournaments is that you only see the best shots. You show the guys that are in contention. They're playing well. They're not going to cold top anything. You're not showing a guy 20 strokes back when he yanks one, 100 yards left with a 7-iron. Jesus, where'd that come from, Henrik?
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Starters, the hotter than a firecracker 2019 Nissan Rogue are all $4,000 off. Own any Nissan in the family and you get an additional $1,000 loyalty cash. That's $5,000 off all Rogues in stock. We have over 90 to choose from. All 2019 Altimas are $5,000 off, and you get special interest rate of 1.9% for 60 months. You get both. Not hot enough? All 2019 Maximas and Muranos are $6,000 off, and you get special interest rates as well. And for the grand finale, 2019 Nissan Titan V8 Crew Cab start at only $29,950. Plus, Titan comes with America's best truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. No wonder Tallahassee is a Nissan town. Craft Nissan town. On Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Interest rates with approved credit. Prices include dealer preparation charges.
I know you know this, and you probably have already suggested it, and maybe she's already had it. But, Tom, I'm bringing your girlfriend into the fold to talk about Bumpa's Local.
Don't you bring her in here.
I'm telling you now that she would love the ahi salad.
Oh, yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
that was
delicious.
That was the first thing she ever tried, and now anytime we are in the neighborhood, which is a capital circle right between I-10 and Centerville. Like
you're giving the people
there.
the location for Bumpa's Local 349. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I like it.
Yes.
They have delicious food. I like tacos. You can't screw up tacos, but they do really good tacos.
I am a big fan of the Uncle Sal because the Uncle Sal is sausage, peppers, and onions. You can't go wrong with that trio, man.
You like the peppers and onions more than I do.
It must be like a New York thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a little bit Italian because they're coming from New York because the peppers and onions isn't exactly Irish cuisine.
I like it when they're cooked up like that.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
like
hard to beat. A little mustard? Yeah.
I'm forever going to champion the wings and the Cobb salad. It's Bumpa's Local 349. They got live music. They've got a number of televisions and, of course, tasty beverages, man. Good stuff.
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're going to love this burger.
2 patties, 2 slices of Swiss cheese, 2 layers of mushrooms. These mushrooms are beautiful.
It's a really good balance between hearty and savory. That au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce, it really sets it apart.
Just adds flavor that makes you go, wow. It is just absolutely amazing.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss burger.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi with breaking news from the NBA. The 76ers and star Ben Simmons agreed on a 5-year, $170 million max extension. Simmons, the number 1 overall pick in 2016, is one of the Sixers' cornerstone stars. Teammates, including Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Al Horford, previously agreed on their own long-term contracts. On this NFL franchise tag deadline day, sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter Jadeveon Clowney won't get a long-term deal done. No trade in the works for Clowney either. He's expected to miss most, if not all, of training camp as he hasn't signed his nearly $16 million franchise tag for the 2019 season. There is one reason Clowney's next contract might not be as big as some other star defensive linemen, points out ESPN's Keyshawn Johnson.
Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, all of those guys can go get the quarterback. Jadeveon was drafted as the number 1 overall pick to go get the quarterback. Great run defender, but he hasn't lived up to it, like you said, at rushing the passer. And as we all know, this is a passing league. And if you got a guy that can go get the quarterback, he can wreak havoc and change the entire game, and he hasn't been able to do that.
Ahead of the deadline, kicker Robbie Gould and the 49ers agreed on a 2-year, $10.5 million fully guaranteed contract. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen, in a first-person story on ESPN's Front Row website, announced that he's battling Parkinson's disease. The 86-year-old said he was diagnosed in 2014, but is sharing his diagnosis now, hoping to help others struggling with the disease as well as those looking for a cure.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I appreciate you. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. Hope you had a great weekend. And, oh, by the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, go back there and get caught up. We'll post all 3 hours to iTunes and our own audio vault upon the conclusion of the show. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. Man, what a fun weekend. We already talked about this earlier, obviously, but I began by giving my man T. Lizzie a hug today. That was a war for the ages, and I think even your casual tennis fans were locked into that sucker, judging by the Twitter accounts that were all lit up watching those two warriors. Weird match, though. I will say this, and as we go back over it real quick, it's a strange match because there's moments of brilliant tennis, but there's moments of real poor tennis. Where one of them's playing at a high level while the other one is just taking the set off or not playing real well. And then there's other times where you're wondering if one of them is hurt. And then there's other times where it looks like, okay, they're both locked in and we've got a war here for long stretches where you're like, okay, this is what we've wanted. A lot of your all-time epic 5-set matches, generally speaking, feature two guys on their games, hence the reason it goes 5. They're both almost of equal talent. They both have heart. They both have guts. They both have stamina. They both have the will and the want to. and they go to war, and we watch one of these all-time great ones. This is an all-time great one that didn't feature all of that because you had oddities, and I still can't figure out where I am on this fifth set thing. I know why they did what they did at Wimbledon and why they've made it that we go to a tie break after 12-12. I don't like it. I'm much more in the finals. I don't like it in the semifinals or the quarterfinals. I'm fine with it. In the finals, let the man play. Let him play. Let's go.
Well, I think they were making some points yesterday. McEnroe said at the end of it that he would do it at 6-all in the fifth. He would treat it just like a normal set because guys would take even more time off if they're down 15 love or even 30 love against a good server. Well, then that game's just over, and I'll go get him next time. And so you might be playing into the 20s simply because since there is no light at the end of the tunnel, as he was talking about yesterday, well, then if I'm down 30 love, right, and I'm not going to try and break you, I'm just going to mail it in and save my energy because I need my energy for my service game. I've got to hold.
It was a weird match. It was compelling and at times absolutely breathtaking. And there's no doubt that obviously if you're just looking at the tiebreakers, Djokovic was in a much better place in those tiebreakers than Federer was and played them smartly and just aggressive enough and put pressure on Federer that he couldn't answer. Whereas Federer within set oftentimes was the better player.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating match. And I still, to the life of me, do not know what was going on in set number 2.
I thought he got spooked and hurt when he slipped and fell.
I thought he was either hurt or he was lacking energy. They were running drinks out to him, and I couldn't figure out, is he sick? What's going on? Because he wasn't even there in that second set. It was like, what? Are you competing? What are we doing? I mean, you just won the first set in a tiebreaker. Well, this is like, you're just going to take the set off? It was bizarre.
He did.
Yeah.
He 100% did.
Yeah, he literally took the set off, and I couldn't figure, was that sickness? You're right. Was he worried that he was injured? I don't know. Here's what I'll say. At the end of the day, the only thing that saddened me by the result, and I respect and love Roger Federer, the champion that he is, but I'm not a fan the way you're a fan, and I don't have a problem with Djokovic. So I was just compelled by the tennis. I was like, you know what? I don't care who wins. It's cool. I'm watching this. I get the storylines on both sides. Admittedly, it'd be a better storyline if Federer had found a way to win at his age. The only thing that made me sad at the end was I thought, that was it. It ain't happening again. It's on his racket. 2 match points. I don't know that another major will ever be on his racket. I just, that's the feeling I had after it was over was, damn it, Roger, this was it. He won't beat him at the U.S. Open if Djokovic is healthy. Neither of them can beat Nadal at the French if Nadal is healthy. So the only other spot would be the Australian, and that's on hard court now, and that's
Joker's specialty.
Yeah, so I really did feel like as we were watching it unfold, this is it. And sometimes at the end of a great champion's career, when they have laid it all out there and you're privileged to see another moment of brilliance that reminds you of why you respect and love them as both strategist and competitor, there is a window where maybe you extend the length of this improbable run, and other times it's the dying of the light. And it's hard to describe the amazing performance from Federer yesterday as the dying of the light, but I think it was.
Well, I had a sneaking suspicion that if he had won, maybe that would have been it. Because the way, listen, it's not always, maybe it's just because she's investing more as she gets older, but his wife was usually pretty stoic for most of his career in the player's box. Now, when you're winning every tournament, maybe that it's not as special.
Yeah.
But throughout the week, the broadcast team said she is more engaged in these matches than she ever has been before. She was living and dying on every point.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because maybe there was a conversation behind the scenes that Roger was like, well, if I can do this.
But he did sound resolved afterwards to keep competing, though.
I think maybe because of the way he lost.
Yeah.
If he had won and he had beaten Nadal and Djokovic in their heyday, back-to-back.
What a way to walk away if you choose to do it.
The way to walk away.
You can, and it's so fun to have these conversations because if you beat Nadal and Djokovic back to back to win at the age of 37, you would argue then, like if you're around him, you go, no, what are you doing? You just beat the two best players in the world. You don't walk away from this. Of course, that is the perfect time to walk away.
If you're 37
yeah.
and it's number 21 for you, and they're only, well, his body, not as bad as.
You still have to have. And
he made 4 or 5 or wide open side of the court that is right in front of him. He's got to try and do something wacky.
2 times yesterday, there's stretches where I don't know if you can fix it. It's like being an older golfer. Can older golfers fix their putting? Well, that's debatable. A lot of people would tell you that Tom Watson could never putt, was never a great putter, and he certainly wasn't going to get a lot better putting the older he got in his career. He left some majors on the table. I'm not talking about the British Open where he got unlucky, although putting was a problem there too. A lot of your older players, if you're talking about Tiger Woods, they'll say, well, do you have the nerve to hit it past 4 feet in order to make the putts you need to make from 10 feet? Can you do that? Roger Federer's backhand yesterday betrayed him for long stretches at a time. And then it would come back in which he'd hit away. And when we're talking about world championship tennis, the one thing I do know is the greatest players of all time, in which he is certainly one, if not the greatest, hit away no matter the moment. They always hit away. In many ways, that's what we're describing with Djokovic's passing shot, the ability at match point to hit away or to throw a second serve at 117 miles per hour after, at 10 all. Oh, we're going to do that? Okay. That's a second serve, not a first serve. All your great champions hit away.
Well, and how many times, through 3 sets, 4 sets, it felt like he was at 40% on first serve accuracy.
It was crazy.
So you're doing that with that in your mind.
Yeah.
That you're not hitting it well today.
It's just
and
bizarre.
Yet you still on second serve say the hell with this.
It's respect for your opponent, knowing that if I come soft, he's going to drill this down the line. So I have no choice. But then faith in yourself and a confidence that, but doesn't belie the percentages. It doesn't make any sense that you would hit away. But there were pockets of this match where Federer wouldn't hit away. His backhand betrayed him. Those were very tentative backhands. And you're going, and then all of a sudden it'd be like he got pissed off and a screamer down the line.
Yeah, he got pissed off. This is where it's 7-all when I looked at Jamie and I said, babe, I think he's going to win this one. Even though he goes down early, I'm like, well, just because he was pissed about the shot that came into his body.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, it's the right shot.
Given the place and it's not just about the fact that you're in the final. It's like the place on the court both were standing.
McEnroe was quick to point.
Right, there's nowhere to hit the ball.
Yeah, well, and also McEnroe was basically telling Chris Fowler to shut up, and he's like, well, he doesn't have to apologize. It's the right play, and he didn't hit him.
But Fed was pissed.
He was
and
pissed,
so that's all that matters, right? Brooks Koepka. It doesn't
perceived,
matter that
right,
it may be fictional, but it's still a real chip to you.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe this is where he gets his break, and when he did, I was obviously really pumped. And then he's up 40-15.
He's going to win. He's going to win. That's why I say there it was. That's it. He'll kick himself forevermore. That's the one that got away. You could hear it in the post-match interview. He was devastated. He blew it.
Well, and yes, he did. And if you look at that moment plus the first set tiebreak, a couple of choices. I think it's 2-1. He can go up 3-1, and he doesn't. And then there's also a couple of 4-point exchanges where it's on your racket again. And it's just when Joker needed to return a big serve yesterday, it wasn't just 40-15. He did. But then when Roger needed to come up with a huge break, it just wasn't there. The only breaks he really registered was in set 2 when Djokovic had said the hell with it. He was hitting it into the crowd. He's like, I'm just done with this.
I'm really kind of curious. I don't know if we'll ever get the answer. That was a weird set of tennis. That was just...
You got your break. The 2 big breaks of the day in the 5th set for Roger were obviously at 7-all, and then it was when he's down 4-2, and he gets that win right back. Because if Joker wins, he goes at 5-2.
It's over,
Then we're done, and we've saved ourselves about an hour and a half. At least I would.
I'm glad.
Hour and a half of heartbreak.
I'm glad we watched it, though. We're all better for having seen that. That was awesome. That's championship greatness. 2 guys that are the best in their profession. Playing at high levels by and large. For more than anything, it's the heart to hit away. I sat there as somebody who grew up playing tennis. More than anything, I tweeted that it was breathtaking at times. I marvel at one's ability to hit away in crucial points with so much on the line. And they both did at varying points. Just let it go. And, it's stunning. Not as stunning as watching Serena get undressed. That was never a competitive match. There were 3 unforced errors for Halep total in that match. 3. It's fascinating. I was reading statistics after this match because I love Serena and I want to see her win more. But since winning the 2017 Australian Open, her 23rd major. She's reached 3 finals. The set scores, 3-6, 3-6, 2-6, 4-6, 2-6, 2-6. When she's gotten back to the finals post her 23rd title, she's gotten hammered.
Do you think part of that is what's consistent about that? It's not necessarily the opponent. So could it be fatigue of having to play so many matches at such a high level?
Fatigue, and that she's now the second or third best player in the world who gets to finals and faces somebody who is just better right now because they're younger and at the top of their game. Maybe it's the surface, maybe whatever it is. Those aren't competitive scores.
No.
And that's back-to-back-to-back finals.
No, Coco gave Halep a better run than Serena did.
So that's the only thing. There you go. That's what you do. You tune into the Jeff Cameron Show. I give you 13 minutes of tennis to start the 5. That's how we roll. It was the story of the weekend.
Yesterday
really was
historic, man. It really was riveting.
Well, and tomorrow we leave for Charlotte, and we'll have a lot of football the rest of the week because that's what we're going to do. We'll go up there and talk football. Until that time, man, we were lucky enough to have that yesterday.
There's nothing more disheartening than Djokovic's 2-hand backhand. It's just,
I don't know how he gets the angles and the depth because Federer, and by the way, the McEnroe brothers are the best in the business. Rightfully pointing out about the slicing. Mm-hmm. And then they did it 2 seconds. And then Federer proceeded to realize it and do it immediately. And those angles that he creates and forces Djokovic to hit a 2-hand backhand with depth, how does he do? I don't know how he does that.
They do broadcast just the two of them sometimes. And there's no play-by-play guy.
Those two should just do it.
Yes, they should. It's a square peg in a round hole with that dude.
Just let those two talk because they're unbelievable. They're both smart. Mm-hmm. They both played. I remember McEnroe's. Patrick and John
Patrick knows
doubles.
how to drive. He knows how to drive a tennis broadcast, by the way.
Yeah, he can. They should just.
I think it's because somebody had to sign a giant contract and got his Wemby deal. I'm serious. Listen, that's not even about the FSU stuff. It's just, it really is. The chemistry there is a little bit, it's us, and then you can speak over here every once in a while because they corrected him right after in a very important moment of the broadcast.
McEnroe John does it all the time. I mean, John's not afraid. John corrects him all the time.
He's talking, Chris is talking about
let's
legacy.
not get into that right now. Let's just be happy we got this. I was like, woo. Well, he undressed him twice. When Djokovic just slapped the little mic cover thing and Fowler's like, oh my goodness. And John's like, let's not make a big deal.
Let's not make anything out of that.
That's really nothing there. What do we? I was like, what? It's like,
but he can't lose the point. Later, he won't.
He's not going to, man. You're trying. You're trying too hard. He's not going to do that. It's the 5th set of Wimbledon. They're not going to give the man a penalty point. Stop it.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Florida State.
Very soon.
Are you looking for a trucking company you can work with till retirement? If so, join the Early Trucking family that has been trucking for over 25 years. ETC is now hiring regional dry van drivers. ETC is now hiring drivers for regional milk tanker routes. Benefits include working with new equipment, a $65,000 average salary, paid time off and sick leave, several drop and hook locations, and a 6 days on, 2 days off schedule that runs mostly in the Southeast. ETC offers a benefit package that's second to none, including 401k, Blue Cross Blue Shield Health, vision and dental insurance, and a $25,000 life insurance policy while employed. Go to earlytruckingcompany.com to fill out an application. Help ETC keep agriculture in motion.
Hendrick.
It's the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. Save big on over 200 new Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs. We are professional grade. DaleJrBuickGMC.com.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Pickens Tree Service has over 25 years of experience in cutting down trees and removing stumps in the Tallahassee area. While you may appreciate the beauty of foliage on your property, certain trees may pose a health risk to the owners. Pickens Tree Service will help you identify these potential issues and take preventative measures to remove the risk along with the tree. Just give them a call for a free estimate at 850-590-1833. That's 850-590-1833. Pickens Tree Service, Tallahassee, Thomasville, Quincy, Crawfordville, and surrounding areas.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with a tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he wants it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Napa know-how.
At Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers, get a $25 prepaid Visa card when you get any Napa Automotive battery. It's the best deal for some of the best batteries from some of the best car people around. But we might be a little partial. Anywho, pick up any Napa Automotive battery and save $25. Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers while supplies last. Offer ends 8/31/19.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Stay back during the work week. It can happen that way. You missed that one of the all-time greats. This is right up my alley. You're probably too young, Tom. This is one of those that fall into that category. I don't know how much of Sweet Pea you got to see, but Pernell Whitaker was one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen, and it was back at a time where I was really into boxing. I watched all the big fights, and it seems to be kind of a glorious era. You're talking about, the first time I saw Pernell Whitaker, I believe would have been early 80s. He won the Olympic gold medal in 84. I don't remember the year he got jobbed against Julio Cesar Chavez. He beat Chavez. They called it a draw. It was obvious a win for Whitaker. That's one of the more controversial fights of all time. But he was great. And if you're young and you don't know who I'm talking about, Pernell Whitaker was struck and killed last night. I didn't look at the exact moment by a traffic accident. He's 55 years old. He's dead. And it's tragic because he was an all-time great. He's a Hall of Famer. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was a 4-division champion, a gold medalist, and a fighter at a time. I guess the best way to describe Pernell Whitaker is most people know who Floyd Mayweather is. So let me modernize it. He was Floyd Mayweather before Floyd Mayweather. That's who he was. He was one of the most elusive defensive fighters you have ever seen. He was electrifying. When you read boxing analysts and the pros that they jot on some of the best boxers of all time, they always talk about purists. They talk about the purest form of boxing, right? The science of boxing, the art of boxing. He falls in the category of top 5 all time in that regard. He was a elite boxer in terms of technically skilled, and he had heart for days. He is a guy that if you're having a debate with other boxing fans, who could beat Floyd Mayweather? The answer is Pernell Whitaker could beat Floyd Mayweather. I 100% believe that is true. I believe it would have been a boring fight for all of us because nobody would have hit anybody because they were that kind of elusive.
Unless they juked to the same place and bashed heads.
Yeah, but Sweet Pea had more get in, get out to him. Was just truly special. A lot of fun to watch and an artist. He was just an artist. So rest in peace to Pernell Whitaker, who was a real joy to watch fight in late 80s, early 90s is when you would have seen Pernell Whitaker. And it's funny, I get nostalgic these days about that era of boxing for a lot of reasons, the heavyweight division included. But that was at a time where you know, a lot of people still wanted to get together for the big fights. That was something we all did at every division, right? And it wasn't just heavyweights or it wasn't just lightweights. A lot of eras in boxing have been dominated by a certain weight division. Rarely did you have them all thriving at the same time, unless you go way back. But that was at a time, the end of my high school days and early college days, where we all got together. So I saw Pernell Whitaker fight a lot. And me and Todd Van Dyke, he used to be the voice of the ladies Seminole. I shouldn't say that. The women's Seminoles basketball team. He was the play-by-play man. He was known as Knoll Man at the baseball games, and we lived together for a while.
They were the Lady Knowles at the time.
They were called the Lady Knowles back then. Yes. But anyhow, he was the play-by-play, and we lived together. And he is a boxing expert. He and his family, boxing experts, they go way back. His uncle boxed, and I learned a lot from them. In addition to already being a fan and having done a little boxing myself, I would watch fights with them because they would break things down in a way that I couldn't even. And he was a huge Pernell Whitaker fan. So I remember the boxing game that EA Sports had.
It was Fight Night.
There was Fight Night. There was Legends. We used to have wars with that. And one of the things we used to always fight about was who got to be Pernell Whitaker. It's like I'm Sweet Pea. No, you had Sweet Pea last time. I don't want Chavez. I want to be Sweet Pea. Oh, I want Sweet Pea. I can't beat you if you're Sweet Pea. There's nobody on here that I can beat you with. That's who Pernell Whitaker was. That was kind of the rule of thumb. It wasn't quite the Bo Jackson thing, but he was that fast, that quick. You can't hit him. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do? I can take De La Hoya, but I got no chance to beat you. I'm just going to get an ass kicking. This isn't going to work. Fine. I'll take Moses.
Those games are fun, but you'll have bruised thumbs, after about 2 days worth of playing it.
They were, they were great games. One side note on Pernell Whitaker, and I heard Max Kellerman say this today because I knew he would have instantly been upset. And so I was trying to find if there was any audio today because I didn't watch whatever the show is, First Take or whatever. And I found a clip on Twitter where he was talking about Pernell Whitaker and, all the things that we just got done describing in terms of pure boxing. He was a beast. But he said something I don't think I knew. He said that there's a lot of tragedy surrounding Pernell Whitaker's career because he, like Mickey Mantle, he didn't take care of himself. That he was a four division champion, Olympic gold medalist, world champion, one of the 5 best pure boxers of all time, Hall of Famer, all of that. He kind of had a little too much fun too. So imagine how skilled you have to be when you're steady sabotaging your body with drugs and alcohol and late night parties, and yet you're just dominating entire divisions for years on end. And that's what everybody brings up whenever they bring up Mickey Mantle. It's like, yeah, that guy did all of that and was drunk every day. That was kind of Pernell Whitaker too. So anyhow.
Imagine Mickey's career if he had an IV, before every game.
Yeah, they say Ruth got after it too, and so did a lot of others. You always wonder about that. Mano, it's a special one, though.
I've just heard legends of modern-day players who maybe check in early to the clubhouse because they can go take a nap and take an IV.
One who may have played for the Rays. Maybe. I think he had to gather himself at some point, though.
I think he did.
Well, the greatest example of a raging drunk tabbed with immense talent would be in Detroit. The all-time, moved from third to first base. Later on became just a DH. Yeah.
Maybe a Triple Crown winner.
Yeah. He might have been an outlandish drunk while playing with the Marlins, having to be ushered back to his room on road trips on the regular. But that's how skilled he is to be able to and have been able to endure that and still be that talented. But anyhow, rest in peace to Pernell Whitaker. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. He was a great fighter, and I'm more nostalgic over it. I didn't know the man. I'm not trying to make it sound like I knew the guy. It just makes me sad. He's an all-time great champion. And for people who never got to see him fight, you can find all that stuff on YouTube. Go watch him fight. He was truly special. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
From Tallahassee to Tuscaloosa, Athens to Auburn, and everywhere in between. That's the Chuck Oliver Show, weekdays at 1 p.m. on our new home in Tallahassee, 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
Hendrick.
Get to the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet, a proud partner of the Hendrick Automotive Group. Shop the Hendrick Summer Sales Event all month. Find new roads in a 2019 Chevy Silverado 1500 truck, up to $15,000 off MSRP. Plus, get a 20-quart Orca cooler with the purchase of any new Chevy truck. New management, new buying experience, same Chevy. Come see us on Tennessee Street. Shop DaleJuniorChevy.com.
Cooler valued at $199. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
Man, it's definitely summer. And with the heat wave, it's hard to keep my cooling costs down.
Have you checked out the many products and services the City of Tallahassee Utilities offers to help you save energy, water, and money?
What kind of products and services?
Well, the city offers ceiling insulation grants, energy efficiency loans, free energy audits, budget billing, and energy retrofit grants, which can help enhance energy efficiency and lower your bill. And the Weather Relief Assistance Program, or WRAP, is also available right now, which also offers a one-time payment option that lets you defer a portion of your bill until October.
Wow, I had no idea. Where can I find out more?
Simple. Visit talgov.com/YOU.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities connects you to more than electricity. With a variety of options to choose from, you can find products and services that help you save energy, water, and money. More options, more products, more savings. Visit talgov.com/YOU or call 891-4968 to learn more.
Hey, this is Jeff Doxey, representing Premier Fine Homes. I'm proud to announce Premier's newest community, Brookside Village. Brookside has the great schools you want, some larger home sites, and is conveniently located on Ox Bottom Road between Ox Bottom Manor and Moore Pond. Call or text me today at 545-4747 or email me at jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. Remember, before you buy, try me at Brookside.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier, full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wrapping it up, before we do, a reminder here, a couple of things. First, tomorrow is a travel day for myself and T. Lizzie as we make our way to Charlotte for the annual ACC kickoff. Look forward to that. Have an opportunity to talk to Coach Willie Taggart. Today's been an interesting day. I don't know why, but, Tom, this feels like the kickoff of football to me, what starts tomorrow. But really, I think people woke up, we had the Wimbledon final on Sunday. That was remarkable. A lot of casual fans tuned into that. And then somehow switched gears because I have been on the phone all afternoon and morning with people that are both integral in the covering of Florida State athletics, people who are opinion shapers and makers of Florida State athletics, and then also friends and family, all of whom immediately turned the conversation to Florida State football and the upcoming football season. And I think it's partly because if you wake up this morning, beyond the highlights of what took place over the weekend with sports, you saw a lot of talk about ACC kickoff, SEC kickoff, the Big Ten, all of that, and it begins to kind of spur the conversation. But, man, I don't know. I've spent the better part of between this 3-hour show and then, of course, just those aforementioned chats, 6 hours today, just focused on Florida State football and ACC football and college football on the whole. People are ready.
I think they're ready to get over this long off season. I think that's what it is. They're just tired of the same questions being asked over and over and over.
As it pertains to Florida State, that's true. Yes.
Right, yeah. If you're a Knoll, you're saying, oh, God, can we just – come on. I want to know. I want to know if he's the guy. I want to know if we're moving in the right direction. This is painful. And for me, I think, just going up there to Charlotte for especially the Atlantic Day would be keep an open mind, keep your ears open, and see what's going to be said, not just by, Florida State representatives, but by everybody, and just kind of document it because I look at it more as hurry up and wait. This is hurry up week, and then we got to wait all over again for another little while. Camp is going to open up in about 2.5 weeks' time.
I was going to say, ain't that
That's
long,
nice.
my man. Yeah, it's not that bad. You get through this week, you're close, real close.
But even still, with camp, you see the first couple of practices, and you're happy for the first hour. You're like, oh, this is great. But then you realize, well, they're still only in shorts, so I don't know how much I can learn about what's going on today. You just look for body changes in players, and you look for new kids on campus and maybe the way that Coach Briles and Coach Clements run the offensive part of practice.
I'll tell you this much, though, and that's, I think, okay, that's true. All of what you just said is true about hurrying up and waiting if you're just looking at it from a Florida State angle. I'm spending more of my time. Now, my job, once we get going here, obviously, is to hyper-focus on the Knowles, the central theme of the Jeff Cameron Show has and always will be for as long as I'm in this market, be Florida State. So we talk around it. We go other places. We talk NFL. We talk hockey. We talk random animal killings. We talk about all these things of people. But we always come back to Florida State. But because we're in a really fascinating time in the state, and we're so far removed from being able to really fire on par with Clemson, I'm looking at a lot of the questions in a way that, maybe in a broader sense, because I look, it's been a fascinating summer. Florida is not capitalizing on a 10-win season. They've gone the opposite direction. Their class is in shambles. Many of the guys that helped buoy that class ranking either didn't get accepted, didn't get into the university, got in trouble, decommitted. So they are not parlaying that success into any forward momentum. I think if I were a Florida fan, I mean this legitimately, I'm not poking the bear because I'm a rival, I'd be very concerned that they are not capitalizing and that they are going to take a step back. I would also be very concerned that if you have a 10-win season in year one, why are you getting out-recruited to the tune you are by Georgia? To the extent that it's not competitive. You're not making any inroads whatsoever. You're not even making inroads in the state of Florida. You didn't out-recruit Florida State. So that's disconcerting. That's buoying for us because it delays the time that you have to get it together. This has to be a get-it-together year, no doubt. That adds to the intrigue. Manny Diaz, I don't know. He's really good in the transfer portal. We'll see. I don't know what Miami's going to be. The state is open for business. This year leaves a lot of intrigue and a lot on the plate for us to kind of devour and take in and decide, all right, what's what? It's all a mystery right now. We don't think we know that. I think even people who would argue that I saw enough in year one to know that Willie's not going to be our guy. Well, maybe you did. I don't know that that's true. I'm not sure they believe that's true necessarily because if it were, he wouldn't have done anything. He wouldn't have made the drastic changes that he did. He wouldn't hand over the keys to the offense. He wouldn't go out and bring in who I think are 3 really good hires, right? That shows you a willingness to put pride aside. So let's give it a go. Let's see what happens with this schedule. Let's see if a more cohesive unit and group that understands how to line up what they're doing. Certainly Bryles and Clements have worked together long enough that we're going to get that. Will that be enough to offset the devastation that is this offensive line that at best is going to be below average, right?
Yeah.
At best. Maybe it is with this schedule. It could be. I think the defense is going to be pretty good. So I think that those unanswered questions leave enough on the plate for us to kind of try to digest besides the day-to-day monotony of, well, saw so-and-so in shorts and a T-shirt. He looked in better shape.
Well, to me, I think, if you're talking about the balance of power in the state, it all begins here. And what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about the problems that we've had the last couple of years? And that'll help dictate in a huge way because Miami is still a bit limited in the way that they can operate. Let's just say peak efficiency was 100 widgets for Florida State. It's probably 85 for Miami. They have to overcome more than we do.
That's correct.
In order to succeed at the highest level. So we have a lot to say about where the balance of the power in the state is going. I just feel like the ACC meetings this year, it's kind of, I'm an Arsenal fan, right, in Premier League. And so these last few years, once I've started really being an Arsenal fan, they're usually 3rd to 5th in the table. So you have this discussion about Man City or Chelsea or Liverpool or whoever the hell is up top. And it's like, all right, now as for the rest of us, if you're a fan of a team trying to get to the top 4 so you can play Champions League or whatever it is, you're looking for your place in the standings, how about that second tier? And I feel like that's where we are, and that's what the ACC meetings is going to be about. Clemson's the big dog.
Yep.
But let's hear from Dino Babers and see what the hell Syracuse is doing, trying to back up a big season. Let's see what we are talking about. How are we talking about the offseason? These are all secondary topics to the grand national championship discussion we used to have. They're still interesting, but I do realize, and I feel it, I'm sure I will when we get there, we're all playing for 2nd or 3rd place in the Atlantic Division at this point.
Yeah, it's brutal. I think for Florida State, the goal is to finish 2nd. I don't think you should ever be looking at 3rd or 4th with the teams that are in our division. I know what we are and what we've done the last 2 years. But if you get righted here, you can finish 2nd place behind Clemson. Got to walk before you can run. This is a walk before you can run season. Let's start walking. Last year we fell on our face and had to crawl around in the dark. We looked ridiculous. Let's walk proudly, sternly forward. Let's go. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying, 6-2. Can we get 6 conference wins this year? That'd be nice.
Yeah, let's start putting one foot in front of the other, looking like we have a game plan, take big strides. It's an opportunity to take a little bit of momentum on into that following season, obviously, as we try to gear up and get to where we can do something once Lawrence leaves. Because really this is about when Trevor Lawrence is gone. That's really what this is about. Once that dude's gone, are we in position to put up a fight, to once again be a rival, to do the things necessary to have a shot at the Atlantic? That's where it all begins.
Yeah, I think that's more of a timestamp than anything about Trevor, too, because they're going to get the next 5-star or 2. But that's like in 2 years, are we capable of giving you a run for your money?
Well, remember, and Sims is coming, and I think he's going to be a real player. So if you've got some offensive linemen, you got a chance. All of a sudden, you've got a guy. He doesn't have to be Trevor Lawrence. He can just be a good player. We haven't had a real good quarterback in a long time.
I will tell you, even though we are playing for 2nd here, I did look at the Lift for Life photos because I was saying, come on.
He's got bigger.
Tell me. Well, James Blackman got bigger. Pope was out there. Dante Lucas.
Yeah.
He looked like he might be a sophomore instead of a freshman. That's good. I don't want to see baby fat. He looks like he's all right. He might be a strong enough guy in the system. That's what I was doing. I'm like, all right, let's get up to size and speed and then worry about competence on the defensive side this year. I think we're going to be competent on offense. I just don't know if we have enough size and speed in the trenches.
One thing to what I would do, the way I would look at the season, and I think I kind of vetted this maybe just through the many conversations, but you've got games where you are not equipped to win them. So your offensive line will not allow for you, barring an upset, barring a little help from the other team in the turnover column or something like that. There are some games on your schedule that you're probably not equipped to win. Clemson being the obvious one of those. I would say that just like I said last year, going into the Miami game, I don't think we were equipped to block them. Now, things worked out early on, and we had an opportunity, and we could have won that game. We didn't win that game, so surprises happen, and that's great. And hopefully maybe we'll get a win this year. But I think we're in trouble in that particular matchup. Now, that's not the whole game, but it's a big one. That's a problem. So there's a couple of games, maybe 3, that you would identify. NC State's got a good defensive line. Syracuse's got a good defensive line, where you're going to lose an essential matchup. But then there's a bunch of games, like 7 to 8 of them, that if you've just taken a step forward between that and a cohesive way to run an offense that is understood by those making decisions and calling plays, which is what you did when you hired Kendall Briles and Clements together. They speak that language. They talk that way. They've been together everywhere. This isn't a learning curve the way it would have had to have been last year when you're hiring hodgepodges and trying to put them together. The Walt Bell thing, you're trying to put him together with Fry, and they ran different systems, right? The offensive line at Michigan wasn't asked to do the same things that they would do under a Walt Bell-led offense. We don't even know what that necessarily is because he never really revealed it. We know what his previous stops say. I just don't feel like there was ever a sense of cohesiveness. They didn't know what they were going to do or how to work together. That is eliminated right now. It's eliminated. Now, they may not have the horses, but the verbiage is right. They're going to talk the talk. They're going to be able to have the conversation. They're on the same page. This is what we're attempting to accomplish here, and this is how we've always done that. We don't have to go through this to teach. I don't have to go to Greg Fry and then Fry to Walt Bell and then Bell to Willie Simmons. I'm thinking of FAMU's coach, Willie Taggart. You could have had 3 different opinions.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think you did too. And I think you seriously upgraded a wide receiver coach.
Yeah, and I think of those 3 opinions, maybe one started to grow louder towards the back half of the season, or maybe one said, all right, the hell with it, you give it a shot. Because, you don't just say that somebody's calling plays late in the year without throwing your hands up in the air a little bit.
Right.
Saying, fine, you want it? All right, you got it.
You got it. You do it. Yeah. So, no, I really do think that so what does that equate to? What does that add up to? What does that become for us? What I mean is, how much more successful can you be simply because you're on the same page? The answer may be significantly so. Again, you're not going to outrun some of your problems. The offensive line is limited. You've got some matchups where that's going to be tough to overcome. But not all of them. Not all of them.
And that's where I was talking about size and speed in the trenches. It's the speed to tackle because you just get run around. You can't get your splits wide enough, I guess, pre-snap.
You can't have a person who's just not competitive. We had a tackle on the field last year who had breakdowns under the lights, and that's another thing that my guess is they won't wait as long to pull the trigger. Given they have a history, they know now what that kid did in games.
Yeah.
If in the Boise game, if in the first quarter we're doing that Olay thing again where I don't put a hand on somebody, you got to go. That's it. We're done. We know what you are.
Yeah, remember, right tackles had some killer war stories the last – I think every time I sit in the end zone, it's the right tackle.
Well, don't do that.
It was end zone for BC on the road, then it was end zone for the Florida game because we were in the Memorial Club. Mm-hmm. And we were standing next to each other. I said, do you see what we have at right tackle?
Yeah, not good. Yeah.
Like, this is a time bomb. It's as loud as the 24 little segways. This thing is ticking, man. And then next thing you know, Francois in his own end zone. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts, right?
It's like I guess that's what I'm guarding against. That's the whole point of clipboards and clicky pens, is that we could talk ourselves into feeling so much better about a lot of these.
Well, you can also go the other way. You can talk your way into believing we're a 5-win team. I've seen both sides.
Sure. Well, it's the check and balance. Is that, all right, we've got all these other things, and maybe they are right. Maybe they are a lot better. But then if you can't block anybody off of the right tackle and the guy's instantly in the backfield, it doesn't matter. The mesh point gets blown up. The ball's on the ground. It's 6-0 the other team, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. There's a lot there, man. There's a lot to chew on. That's all I'm saying. There is a lot to digest, a lot to get into, a lot to be excited to see. Now, I really think how you view that depends on maybe your worldview. I mean, are you a glass half full, half empty guy? I mean, which is it, you know? I mean, that's what I think. I think when I sit across from the person who thinks we're going to lose 7 games again this year, or across from the person that thinks we're going to win 11, I think almost the same thing. Those are extreme views.
I feel like the dog nearing the property border where the electric fence used to be.
Yeah.
The collar's off now.
Yeah.
But I'm still walking around that area going, do I want to take this step or do I want to stand right here?
Let's do probables and figure it out. But anyhow, we're on the road tomorrow. Here come the probables.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Freaking Dodgers, man. They are rolling Big River. Clayton Kershaw goes tonight. 62-33 LA. Those fans will fall to the ground and weep if this isn't the year.
At some point.
You gotta bring one home. Mm-hmm. That's the point of having this magnificently deep team. Phillies will throw Zach Eflin. Rays, Yankees, Blake Snell, James Paxton. We got the Tigers and the Indians, Daniel Norris, Adam Putko. Jays, Red Sox, Trent Thornton, Rick Porcello. Reds, Cubs, Luis Castillo, Kyle Hendricks. The Braves and the Brewers tonight at 8:10. Is that what we have right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio?
It is indeed.
Max Fried and Adrian Hauser. We got the Pirates and the Cardinals. Joe Musgrove, Miles Nicholas.
Yes.
Let's go Buccos. White Sox, Royals, Lucas Giolito and Jacob Junis. We got the Giants and the Rockies. The Rockies, they just don't know. They don't know who they're going to roll out there. As for the Giants, they're going to throw Derek Rodriguez. Astros, Angels. Good game. Josh James, Griffin Canning, your favorite. Fresh out of a club luncheon.
Man, I'm playing with Griffin today. You're ready for some club throwing.
And that is a look at those that shall reside on the up.
Plenty of time. You got light in your eyes.
Our thanks to Jerry's Cigar Shop. Thank you, Jerry.
Whether you're at the 2810 Share Road or 2910 Cary Forest Parkway location, you can light up a victory cigar that the Dodgers fans haven't been able to do since, what, 88?
Well, they're celebrating regular season division titles, Tom.
Yearly.
They've got those. Yay, Jerry's Cigars. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that. Good stuff. We always like doing problems.
So I think division title cigars are like the ones that aren't in the humidor, right? Those are just the ones that are in wax paper and plastic.
They're crappy.
They're like the throw-ins. Like, hey, you know what? Try these.
Why don't you get those? Better smoke those within the next hour.
They're not Monte Cristos.
No, they go south. Good work out of you. We'll have plenty of time to vet every position on the field for the upcoming football season tomorrow together as we drive to Charlotte, sir. And I got bad news. We're not driving the tank.
We're not?
We're not driving the QX80. I'm leaving it behind. That's a long drive, man. That's a lot of gas.
Okay.
But we'll drive fast no matter what we drive.
What'd you get?
I didn't get anything. I got a nice car. We're good.
Okay.
My wife's car.
It's a Kraft Nissan, isn't it?
It is a Kraft Nissan.
Well,
so we're in good shape.
That's not even a fallback plan. That's plan 1A.
Yeah, we're in good shape. We'll be hauling ass. Music will be good. We'll get there. We'll do our thing. We're off to Charlotte. We're off to Charlotte tomorrow. We'll talk to you on Wednesday in some capacity. I don't know what we're going to do. Because right in the middle of when we would be doing the show is when we do our interviews. So it's a weird, choppy week. But we're doing it. We're doing our thing. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Talk to you Wednesday-ish or something.
Singing to